is you would be shocked at one that it's called the Asus Tony. You'd be shocked at how well I did in that one. And and I'll send you a
And we're
video of what?
just heads up, we're live.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, send me the video though.
Okay, I'll send you the video of the guy. Okay.
Hello everyone. I'm joined today with Leon GunSteel. How are you doing, Leon?
Good. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad, not too bad. We just had a good Ace Combat talk, and I think Ace Combat might be coming up a little bit later in the conversation too. So
Probably.
stay tuned for
I
that.
I never really played 1 and 2 or 3 because I've always been more active with 4, 5, 0, 6, and 7, and Infinity. But that one was a game service, and that's another thing I want to talk about.
Oh, we can definitely
Just
get into
yeah,
that.
okay.
Well, actually, you know what? Do you want to start with talking about online
Yeah,
gaming
well,
services? Because I don't have a
yeah,
question
sure.
prepared for that, so it could be interesting to
Uh,
explore.
yeah, that would be good. Uh, like we are talking about before stream, Ace Combat, that series pretty much one. I mean, it's not Flight Simulator, trust me. That ain't Flight Simulator at all. It's fun as all hell, but it's not Flight Simulator. So, but I mean, it does have like you could still do tactics in the game that actually match that with fighter pilots. Here it is. We must even go faster. This guy is hilarious. I'll send you a link to the video. There's a thing for 5 where it's a glitch where you get up and you drop and then you pull up again. It's called the altitude stall glitch, and your plane goes faster every time. It's pretty interesting. But no, the games as a service. There's a lot of games as a service. Ace Combat was one of them. Ace Combat Infinity for those few of you that have ever had a chance to play it on the PS3. It was a service game. And even if you bought, like I did, I bought the story mode to the game. I paid for the story mode to the game and stuff. And then when they took it off air, I can no longer play the story mode. So the thing I paid $25 for went down the drain because they took the servers off. It's things like that are games as a service. I mean, there's a bunch of others too.
Now it seems like every game comes out and it's got a battle pass on day one with tons and tons and tons of stuff that they're charging you money for after you buy the game.
Oh yeah, I I can't tell you how crazy that is. Like the one that really messed up the gaming industry, Fortnite. I mean, it was an enjoyable game, but it sent what was it? Sent Epic Games to being complete and total assholes for PC gamers. The after effects of Fortnite's popularity pushed Epic to literally go for exclusives. So us that like played them on Steam couldn't play them, and I had to wait 2 years before I could play uh, Metro Exodus on my PC. So yeah, I mean that's another games as a service. Is that one right there? PUBG. Apex, which is a good game. I would put PUBG and Apex as being really good games. I pay for PUBG and it's still like a games as a service thing. What else is there recently? I have no idea. You could go.
Well, it seems like there was a faction within GamerGate, a relatively small faction that believed, and I was opposed to this faction. Guess I should disclose and make that clear. I opposed this faction, but they wanted to make GamerGate focus on issues in the games industry with these publishers doing things like loot boxes, microtransactions everywhere, things
It
like that.
depends. Like for me and my group, Nurgle's group, it depends on the type of publishing and stuff. If they are doing for like cosmetics and things like that, like what Fortnite is doing, fine, so be it. Let them charge out the ass for a stupid dance of someone, some fat guy doing the whatever the dance is called. I mean, if they want to do that, so be it. Let them. But I mean, it's when they actually affect the game itself. Like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a good example of that. That game, you literally have to put every region you're in, you have to put 3 to 4 hours in if you don't want to do the all of the background stuff, or if you didn't want to do, if you wanted to do it without the boost, you would have to spend at least 3 or 4 hours on each province you go to, each region you go to. And it would take you maybe just an hour if you didn't have it. It's things like that that kind of bug me out. But yeah, that's me, for instance. And there is one service thing that I actually approve of. Uh, Hearts of Iron, Paradox Hearts of Iron creators, they did a thing because Hearts of Iron DLCs all together now it's like almost $250, if not more. They have a service where once a month you could say, oh, $4.99 if you want to get all the DLC and play it just for 1 month. And that's what I did. I mean, it's services like that that I'm okay with, but when they actively make it impossible, and I'm not talking about like games you just downloaded so you could play, like Halo Infinite's multiplayer. I'm not talking about things like that where you could play it for free. I'm talking about things you paid $60-$70 for, that they force you to pay, that they want you to pay an extra $80. I mean, Battlefront 2 was, and trust me, I pre-ordered that game. Battlefront 2 was one of those eye openers for me.
Well, you were a part of GG. Did you think that GamerGate should have tried to take on some of these industry practices on the developer/publisher side of things?
Personally, not Gamergate. Gamergate already had a reputation at that time when this was hitting big time, and all the game industry would have had to done is say, see, it's a misogynist. It wouldn't have been good if you would have used Gamergate. It should have been something else, like someone for consumer rights activists or something like that. Not Gamergate was just for fighting the corrupt journalists out there. That's what it was designed for. The idiots like Zoe Quinn and whatever his name is, the one that yeah. It was things like that that originally got Gamergate, that I always thought Gamergate was for, not for politics or who you're voting for this election or anything like that. That was not what it was about. It was about making sure the industry wasn't going to be as corrupt, and let's like say, oh hey, Kotaku's reviewing let's say like the game I'm playing right now, Mass Effect Andromeda, and they were paid money just so they could give a good review, and they don't even put in there, we got money for I don't think they did this, but I'm just giving an example here where they said, they didn't say sponsored content, and they just said it was an actual review. That's been happening in the games industry, I think 5-6 years even before Gamergate started. Heck, I even think during the G4 Tech TV days it was happening. GameStop or GameSpot. Yeah, I could tell you when they were trying to push a bad game. What was it? That one, that Kanan
Kane
Lynch?
Lynch?
Kanan Lynch, yes. That is the perfect example of journalism being at their worst, because they actually took it.
Yeah,
And
Go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No. This is your chance to answer the questions for the book.
And
So
Kotaku, and this is one thing I always had a problem with companies like Kotaku, Polygon, all those companies. They literally, like when the leak came out for Fallout 4, which turned out to be true, because the scripts basically were that, when they got that leak and they reported it, they didn't even do a spoiler warning or anything like that. They just said, oh, hey, here's a leak to what we think is going to be Fallout 4. Here's a leak to what we think is going to be Starfield. And they knew about Starfield because of the leaks. And guess what? It was called Starfield. Like, I mean, it's things like that that irritate me. I'd rather be surprised by something like that, not have some idiot journalist leak it early. That was my problem with the journalism side of video games.
that they would leak information about the games prior to them coming out.
Oh, yeah. And they would.
Is that part of the role of a games journalist, though?
it's different from reporting about the leak and not putting the actual leak on the air, like showing the leak. You could talk about it, but it's when they show it that irritates me. And I think, and it bit them, and like Kotaku, for instance, it bit them in the ass hard with Bethesda. They refused to ever work with them again.
I
But I'm
think
just saying, yeah.
I think I disagree, Leon. I think that if a games journalist has information about a game that's coming out and it's leaked information, I think that they should be 1,000% fine to publish that. In fact, I think
Mhm,
that if they're concerned that access is going to get cut off by the
mhm.
publisher and they get punished for it, I think that that's like a serious problem because like
I
the
know.
publisher is like engaging in corruption against the
Mhm.
journalists.
I know it is. But I mean, though, when the leaks are illegally obtained, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not talking about, oh, it's what someone said and they broke an NDA. No, I'm talking about them actually getting an actual, and I would be understandably pissed too, working on something hard and then it gets leaked by some dipshit. I understand that. I know how that feels when you work on something hard, like for instance, a surprise party. You work on something hard and some idiot breaks a surprise. I know what that's like. It's things like that that you're, I don't know. It's just like we anymore at E3, or it's no longer there for us, but during E3, we were all prepared to see what, I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass again. We originally was, we weren't expecting that to happen type of thing. We're like, oh, hey, maybe this will come out or this will come out. And no, oh, hey, a leak come out and it's going to be this. And we're like, no, it's not. Oh, hey, Fallout 76 is always online. Oh, hey, Fallout 76 is only multiplayer. Like when I did the E3 streams, you could, I think I still have it up of, you could say us like, fuck you, Bethesda. Like we were all that way right now because, well, it took, but we knew it was going to happen, but we're like, maybe the leaks are wrong. Maybe the leaks are wrong. And nope, they were right.
Yeah, I disagreed with the people trying to bring that sort of thing into GamerGate too. The publisher sorry, the anti-industry practices in the games themselves about like microtransactions, loot boxes, stuff like
And
that. I didn't want them to bring that in. I mean, I think it's a good conversation to have, and we should have that conversation. But I'm like,
mhm,
well, I don't want GamerGate to be perceived as attacking developers. Let's have that be a separate movement. That was my view because I thought, well, we have a lot of developers who support GamerGate, and we don't want to alienate them as
I know.
allies in the fight. That was my perspective.
Personally, for me, it's the same thing. I never wanted to target the developers. I like the developers. I wanted them to be on our good side. We didn't want to show the developers, oh, we don't like you guys. It's not that at all. I mean, the only one we really made fun of was when what's his name? The guy that was ahead of Gearbox was singing one of the
Oh,
most
Randy
embarrassing.
Pitchfork,
Randy
Pitchford.
Dickford, yeah, that's what we called him at the time.
I made a
Yeah.
video, I actually wrote an open letter to Randy Pitchford, trying to
Oh,
convince him to change his mind because he was anti Gamergate, and so
of course it was.
I wanted to I wrote an open letter to him and made it a video, public video. I don't think it exists anymore. The archive's gone. There's
Mhm.
no archive of it. Maybe someone's got it
Yeah.
floating around out there, but I wanted to change his mind on that because I thought maybe he'd be open to hearing us out. Maybe.
No, he wouldn't. It was like everyone there, like the more extreme of us, for instance, we weren't gonna listen to that kind of stuff. We weren't gonna listen to the way none of the extreme ones. And heck, I was an extreme one up until around the early 2015. I was an extreme nutcase. And it was like Nurgle and his group that calmed me down. I mean, it was literally me and Nurgle that wanted to get a actual stream together of us talking about other things besides Gamergate. So that's how Stream of Corruption got its start, was because we did not want to. Damn it, game. We didn't want to talk about. How do I put this? We didn't want to talk about just one second here. We wanted to talk about other things, but we changed the name from GamerGate Insanity to Stream of Corruption, so we wouldn't have GamerGate or be associated with GamerGate when we did things like this. So we evolved from GamerGate to other things, but we didn't use the GamerGate name for the other things.
Speaking of GamerGate, you want to tell me about your GamerGate experience?
Which one?
Well, what made this a passionate thing for you? How did you get involved? What did you do during it?
For me, it was, how do I put this? I think I was an avid viewer of Review Tech USA, and he talked about Phil Fish getting doxxed and saying it was hard. And then Monday Matt jumped on there and just talked about Zoe Quinn, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then they started, and what really drove me to it is when they started calling everyone that played video games just horrific words and stuff when we're not really those types of people that they want to call us. When they said it was everyone that played video games is when it drove me to Gamergate. That's basically what drove me to it.
Was that the Gamers Are Dead articles?
Yes. Gamers are dead. The shit Quinn said, the shit Sarkeesian said, all of it. It made me mad because it's like, I'm not any of those things. I've been a supporter of, I've been around my entire life. I've been around feminists and girl powered feminists. I'm talking about the ones from the 90s. I've been raised around those types of people where if you said you can help them, they would smack you upside the head and said, no, I could do this myself. I was raised around those people. And when I see these people trying to say it's something else and say, oh, it's not this, or how do I put this? My mind is going crazy again. It's when they contradict those people I grew up with. It kind of made me mad.
Some people say that Gamergate was against feminism. Did you see it that
No,
way?
no, I didn't see it that way because, I mean, yeah, I was annoyed by the third waivers, but I never thought of it as that. I did get extreme against it for a couple months, but then my mind, I went back on, I finally got on medicine that I needed for my head. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you shouldn't be acting this way. You should be a little bit more calmer and stuff in handling these things. So I started mellowing out, and yeah, all I'm gonna say is that that 1 year of Gamergate, I think, took 5 years of my life off from my health because of how paranoid I was.
Yeah, I think you and I met. Well, I didn't get involved in Gamergate until early 2015, but I think you and I met after you had mellowed out a bit.
Oh yeah. I was crazy, and I'll say it. I was flipping crazy. I was a vigilante loving lunatic early Gamergate. And then I realized it was my mom that said it. You're not like this. I know you get mad at what the people from the Bay Area are doing to some of the girls that are in your group, but you shouldn't be getting this mad over this. This is stupid. So she took me to a psychiatrist, diagnosed me with extreme anxiety disorder, and put me on a very powerful med, and I've been mellow ever since. I I have mellowed out for the past 5 years now. I have had a better health issues. I have low blood, or I have low cholesterol. I have a good heart rate and stuff. So yeah, my health has improved over the past few years, minus that horrific accident I was in. But other than that, Gamergate almost took 5 years off my life. It could have led me to a heart attack. Yeah.
You were really upset that some of the women who supported Gamergate got harassed.
Oh, I saw the stuff that was being said to them. It was horrific that the pro Sarkeesians and Quinn supporters said to some of the girls. It wasn't even borderline. It was full on horrific, the things that they were saying. They did the things they accused us of doing, and it made me mad because I'm thinking to myself, wait, we don't do that kind of stuff. You're accusing us of doing that, but yet when you see a woman that goes against what your favorite YouTuber says, or your favorite online personality says, you accuse us of doing the same thing you do. That is wrong. it made me mad because, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. It just made me mad seeing what the women and other people were going through when they completely, uh, how do I put this? Be, what's the term for telling the people that are trying to convince you of something that you're not doing, that you're not
Gaslighting?
doing? Yeah, that they're no, not gaslighting. I can't think of it right now, but basically, what people are saying girls are being harassed in games and stuff, and they were facing harassment. Yeah, I've seen those every now and then. They were usually done by 12-year-old boys or idiot incel losers, and I've seen it. It's rare to happen anymore, but it's really the immature idiots that said it. People
Which
that go
good.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Would some of the people who were against Gamergate say, "Hey, look, a lot of your people are getting harassed, but and you're upset about that, and some of the harassment that they receive is sexist. But you know what? It seems like a lot of people are also harassing Anita Sarkeesian or Zoe Quinn or Brianna Wu, and that seems kind of sexist too. And we're mad about the harassment that they receive,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we oppose your movement because we think that your movement is at least partially responsible for that."
Yeah, kind of. I could see that and stuff. And we've even tried tracking down, like, remember the one that threatened a college when Sarkeesian went there and made it really big deal?
Yeah,
Remember that one in 2014, like late 2014?
before my
When
time, but
yeah, but I mean that when that bullshit happened, we had to like get hurt, all of us, because we're saying, no, we're not like that. And some lunatic came out and said that, and we're like, I remember people actually tracked the person down because they're like, we're not like this asshole. We'll find him. And sure enough, they found him. And nothing happened. In a second. Sorry, had to pick up the phone.
no, you're fine.
Yeah.
Um, when you mentioned earlier that you became almost like a vigilante to avenge the women who had been harassed.
Kind of.
What do you mean?
I
Like,
never like I I can't explain it. I was just crazy. I said random things I shouldn't have said and stupid things like that of just me being just full on crazy. Like we've all had those, like, you're just angry and you just, I don't know. I don't like talking about it anymore.
we don't have to talk about it.
I
We
know.
can move on.
It's just I had a lot of stress and stuff. I got very mad because of how people were treating each other. It wasn't just a Gamergate thing. It was just in general. But being put on the same level, some of these people put some of us being put on the same level as people like these losers. Me being put on the same level as them pissed me off. Is the best way to describe it.
By
Ah,
losers, you mean like, what do you mean?
the ones that actually pull that kind of shit they accused us of doing.
Oh,
The actual scumbags.
can you
Oh,
define? Do you need a
yeah.
minute, or
No, I'm fine.
can you define what Gamergate was?
Gamergate was. It was. It was. How do I put this? It was. It was basically just. It was supposed to be opposing the corruption in the game industry. That's what it was. It was nothing else. It was just oppose corruption, in my opinion. That's how I always saw it.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a gamer?
Gamer? Playing video games? Yeah, I'm doing them right now.
By the way, you're not coming through on stream. You said you were screen sharing. I don't see it.
Oh, it shut off for a second. Let me pull it back up. Share your screen, Andromeda. Like, there are a lot of different games that people have that how do I put this? No, don't set the desktop. There are a lot of games where we've all played, and like originally they were controversial, but they have good mechanics to them. Andromeda is one of those games. It had rightfully so, a hell of a lot of glitches when it came out. It was it wasn't as bad as Cyberpunk, but it was pretty close. And just it was the press around that stuff and the hypocrisy they had supporting that game and all that was in it compared to, let's say, how they attacked Fallout 4 when it first came out, or just any of the games in general. It was like a double standard from the industry. I mean, this is a good game. I'm not going to put that. I'm not going to. I don't know how to say it. Okay, I'm done saying it.
Now, Mass Effect Andromeda's release. I actually,
Mhm.
one of my most popular videos came out before the game came out because there were a bunch of anti-social justice warriors who were criticizing the game for, well, diversity. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? This is crazy.
There's
So I,
there's not a diversity issue with this game. It's like normal video games, and it's just the people that want to bitch and moan about everything. That's basically what it is. It's the people that want to bitch and moan about literally every little thing they can find. It's the people that are doing this are no different than Sarkeesian when they complain about stuff like this.
and this was I made a very popular video criticizing the anti-SJWs, and like people in like my circle were very much, I think, in favor of the video or liked it.
Mhm.
But it on Kotaku in action, this might have been like the warning sign that Kotaku in action was going down a dark path.
Oh
It seemed
yeah.
like a lot of the people on Kotaku in action wanted to bitch and moan about the game, which I mean you can criticize the game, that's 100% fine.
Mhm.
But when you're saying, but when you're bitching about it nonstop and you have hundreds of threads, it's starting to look a little bit weird.
Oh yeah.
And it
Oh
seemed
yeah.
like they were kind of acting like social justice warriors in their own way.
Oh yeah. Like what stopped us from acting that way was a couple friends of mine that were in it, and they were talking the way they were. Their wives said to them, "You're no better than an SJW. You're just as bad as the SJWs with how you're talking." And it got to their heads, and it was what my mom said to me as well. And it got to my head, and it's like, you know what? You know what? Yeah, we were lunatics. Yes, we were anti this, anti that, that we were focusing all our efforts on just stupid shit instead of, I don't know, focusing on good things that are happening. And that's why, like, I quit or I left Gamergate after 2015. I was like done with it. It was fun while it lasted, but then it just took a dark turn and I left.
Did you see? Were you a member of Kotaku in action?
No, I avoided that one. I avoided all the Reddit groups.
I thought I was on Kia, not like a huge amount, but like a somewhat. I was on there, and I thought they were generally fine, but like the Mass Effect Andromeda thing, I was willing to tolerate it because no one was calling for censorship. I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. You guys are going down a path, but like there's still a lot of diversity of opinion. There's still a lot of people pushing back against them. It's about, there's still a healthy discussion. It's not just culture warriors trying to culture war. There's a healthy back and forth between people who believe in like creative freedom like me and the culture war people. And then
Mhm.
by 2017 though, it seemed like it was just culture war crazy people, and I didn't want to be a part of that anymore.
Oh man,
Or
we
no, yeah,
uh
2017, 2018 area.
we all laughed about it. We were all laughing about it after like they were still going on all the way to 2020, and we're like, why are they still doing this? Why are they still using that tag? It's been done it over with since 2016. And we just seen the fringe group still using it. I don't know why they are. It's a dead tag.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I did use the tag to promote this series, but that's because like
But that's
it's a
because
series
we're
about
talking about
Gamergate.
it.
But we're
Yeah.
talking about it as if it's over, as a historical
Yeah.
phenomenon. So
Yeah. Like for instance, I will admit it, I wasn't right in the head during that time and I was a little bit of a lunatic, but I didn't say anything didn't do anything that threatened people or harmed people or anything like that, which was the reason why my mom didn't have me institutionalized. She was close to doing that just because of my stress levels and stuff. My stress when it started skyrocketed out of control. Just like I was paranoid about everything. Yeah, like I I don't think people knew how close I was to being institutionalized for a couple weeks. I have a 2-week hold for psychiatric care because of just how much this set me down. I can't believe this is going on. This seems like the end of the world. But now when you look back at it, it's just stupid.
Is that how you feel about it now? That a lot of it was just stupid?
Uh, to a point, most of it was like arguing, bickering about games like Mass Effect Andromeda or things like that. Yeah, it was just, I mean, bickering, constant bickering like the Android days, just like back and forth, back and forth. Like the same topic was being shot around, and it was people repeating the words every 10 minutes. It was just a repeation and stuff. And yeah, it was not good.
Does the term gamer have gendered connotations for you?
Gamer?
Yeah.
No. It just means anyone that enjoys playing video games, in my opinion. It's just people that enjoy it, take it as a hobby. It's people that take it as a hobby. It's just a hobby, is what that word means, in my opinion. It's people that play video games. Like gamer is a blanketed term for people that love video games. There's PC gamers. There's PC gamers. There's hardcore gamers. There's fighting gamers. There's speedrunner gamers. There's a lot of different things. So it's not just, it's a blanketed term that doesn't mean, it's a blanketed term that means a lot of things, in my opinion.
There are a lot of people in my community, my Discord server, who have both pro GamerGate views and also people who have anti GamerGate views. It's a pretty diverse group. And they were
Mhm.
having a discussion earlier today, and they were talking about, is there really a need to identify with your hobby?
Not really. I mean, except like you say, oh, I love playing video games. I'm kind of a gamer. Things like that. Like you love knitting. You're kind of like knitting or knitter or crafter. Or like you're sewing, you're a sewer, things like that. It's just something you say you love to do. That's my opinion about it. It's not like, oh, it's your heart and soul into everything. No, a lot of people that play these have actual lives, have family, have children that they have to put first in front of playing video games. Like that one poor guy that got killed because of swatting. Basically what happened was a lot of us who enjoyed playing video games were given a bad light because two dipshits wanted to get in a fight over a Call of Duty match, and then some loser uh streamer or some loser doxer sent, or not doxer, swatter sent the SWAT team, and a poor innocent man lost his life. It's shit like that always hits the word gamer hard, because it's like it's what his father said. It's like he had other things to worry about. He had a family, he had friends that he had to worry about, that, and gaming was something he didn't even think about. He had other things going on in life. He wasn't wasting his time with that. When things like that happen, it's kind of hard. You just, like how I always put it, I put it as, oh, it's just a hobby. Like I finished building my PC, and everybody's like, really? And I'm like, and someone that almost insulted me about that, I said to them, you basically borderline work on hot rods, and you're insulting me for building the hot rod version of a PC of a video game. Yeah. But no, the term has gotten a bad rap over the years, is the best way for me to describe it.
Do you think that because of this poor reputation, that's why the games press decided that they wanted to get rid of the term and declared it was over?
No, not that. I think it was. I have no idea why they went after it.
Do you think that any of the arguments that they made about gamers, the gamer label and the gamer identity needing to go away? Do you think that any of the arguments they made about that were genuine or good?
Uh, yeah. Or no. 1 second here. I got to think about it. What was this saying about interesting by hearing someone explain who they saw was being harassed and who wasn't, and it being the exact opposite of what you? Oh my god. Yeah. The forget about it. Like the term. I mean, in some aspects, it's just a hobby. That's all it is. It's just a hobby that someone has, like carpenter, uh, blacksmith, like people doing it for a hobby. Sometimes people do it for a job, like testers, for instance, game testers or game developers. Sometimes it could be labeled as a job like that, or other times it could be labeled as a hobby, like gamer, where we just put our time into building, like buying a console, playing it, learning the games and stuff. Sometimes speedrunners, they put an ungodly amount of time into the game itself, trying to speedrun. If you've ever seen the Mario 64 speedruns, you would understand what I'm saying, but it's just people that it's a hobby, all it is.
If instead of writing these articles, the games press just said, "Hey, look, we're gonna implement a couple reforms. We're gonna slap a couple people on the wrist. We're gonna, add some disclosure, or even
If
just
they
ignored the issue," then would have blown up into this massive kerfluffle that it did?
GamerGate was something that was building up for a long time. After the Cannon Lynch thing, that's what I think started that lit the fuse, and the fuse took years to ignite. But it was something that's been going on for a long time. We look at it like, why are they saying that stuff? That's not what the game is about. Like, why are they, like, when the whole thing was Sarkeesian and the feminist frequency that she kept doing? She showed a clip of Hitman Absolution where it's like, oh, you get rewarded for shooting these innocent women, and you look at it and it's like, no, you're getting punished for doing stuff like that. And the game itself made you think, oh, you have to feel really bad for these people because of the stuff they have to go through. It's just misinterpretations. It was slowly building up, and then one fuse lit and it exploded. It was a slow build up. The powder keg was building up slowly, and someone lit the fuse. That's Gamergate in a nutshell.
If the games press, instead of writing these articles, decided that, hey, look, we're not going to write 19 articles. We're just going to write one article, maybe even have it be across publications, like a united letter saying, hey, look, we're not going to abandon the gamer label, but we're going to reclaim it from the aspects that we think are bad, and we're going to push forward to improve the industry and and celebrate the positive aspects of gaming while also recognizing that there are some negative aspects of the culture too. Would you have been open to hearing them out?
I would have at that time. If they would have taken a more moderate stance, I would have. And it's something I had to learn the hard way, being a moderate. It's it's not a good thing for you to be extreme. It never is. It will put your health will you will lose, your health will go down. Your health will plummet, your mental health and your physical health. The only time I ever had high cholesterol in my life was during the Gamergate days, because I was so paranoid about that stuff. Like, oh no, the world's coming to an end, because that's what it seemed like with people talking. But now that you look at it, you're like, this is just stupid. Why was I almost about to lose 5 years of my life because of stupid shit like this? That's my opinion about it. Like everybody thought it was like the end of the world. Like, oh, they're gonna change this. They're gonna stop making video games, or they're gonna make video games like this or that, or anything like what Sarkeesian demanded. People made it sound like that was what's going on, but after that, we looked back at it and said, after you look back at that and said, we were just stupid. That's my opinion of it. Like, everyone thought during the GamerGate days the world was coming to an end, basically.
Do you regret your involvement?
Not entirely. I regret going full on insane, like freaking out over every little thing. But involvement, I mean, like with the groups I've been in and stuff, like some of the friends I've had and just talking about different things and stuff, I don't regret that at all. It's just when I took my extreme stances, I regret those personally. I regret being a lunatic. I regret losing most of my health, putting my health in jeopardy over things like this. My health plummeted. I almost had to be institutionalized for my mental health. Yeah, it's just there are things you regret and things you don't. It's just that. And Gamergate is no different. Things you support and things you do not. When you look back at it, I remember when it first became political, and after hearing one of my how do I put this? After hearing one of my and one of people saying this is not like you don't get involved in politics like this. You don't get involved in politics like this. It's just what people said to me, like, you don't like getting involved in crap like this. And then I realized that and it made me think, wait a minute, I'm not this kind of person. And then it just, when it became really political and stuff, that's when I left.
What do you mean by it became political?
Trust me, how do I put this? People freaking out over just political. I can't describe the word political. It's just people taking sides in the political aspect. Politicians using the tag, journalists using the tag, everything like that. It became political after around 2015, and let me just say, I hated it. After that, I hated being a part of that.
Do you
It,
think there was any good that you had done or that the group or the community had done?
Me personally, I don't know if it was something good I've done or not. I don't think I, I mean, we made a difference. We showed the developers that, hey, we actually enjoy your products. Just please stop trying to alienate us. That's what it was really about. It was like, please stop trying to alienate us. We love your products. And when a game decided to be insulting, like for instance, Saints Row 2022, remember that one?
Wait, what was it called?
Saints Row, the recent redo
Oh,
of Saints
okay.
Row. Yeah, it destroyed Volition. That game was so terribly made, it destroyed Volition itself. Uh, when they did stupid stuff like that, they realized, oh crap! I think that was the wake up call to everyone to stop taking extreme sides. Like, ugh. They literally took a good premise and they literally made the actual characters look like they were, I don't know. My mind's jumping everywhere.
What do you think about games journalism?
Games journalism. Games journalism. It's not like what it used to be. Let me put it like that. It is not like it used to be. It's not like back in the old days when they would review a PC game, they showed what the computer specs were, what what their computer had, what the settings were, what was in their computer. They used to go through everything like that before they even started to do the review. And then they would talk about all the glitches here and there, bugs, and then they would talk about the story. And they would probably put their opinion in it somewhere. But that was what games journalism used to be. It was people that actually were investigating the game itself to say, oh, is this good or is this bad? Because back then, like during the older days, like the early 2000s, it was hard to do patching for games. It was like when it came out, it was just out. There was barely any time to get pouches in the games anymore.
Do you think
You,
that, well, first off, do you consider video games to be art?
oh yeah, they're an art.
Do you think
Like,
that? Go ahead.
yeah, it's like any art. There's so many different forms of art. It's not even funny. So yeah, video games are an art, just like movies aren't. Like video games are just a bold. Uh, Video games are just a blanketed statement of art itself. There's like subgenres of video games that are art, and subgenres of the subgenres that are art. Like it's a blanketed statement. One of the blanketed art statements, like painting, drawing, singing, music. It's a blanketed statement, and there's subgenres in that blanketed genre itself. It's video games. You can't even describe the type of the. Damn it! It's my head.
Do you want to take a break, or are you doing okay? Or
No, I'm fine. It's just you could go for a minute. Hey, my head's hurting. Ugh. Okay. But yeah, that's all it is in my opinion. It's just a blanketed art, or it's a blanketed genre where everything is under it, and under those are different things and different things and different things. Like speed running, that's an art. Completionist, yeah, poor Gerard has to do completionist on a bunch of games. That's art itself. Like there's art among art among art. Like let's say first person shooters are arts. Like what Call of Duty did, where it's like a single mission, like the old fashioned days of games where it was like, oh, it's just like a tracked area where you had to go through, and the map was designed to be very narrow. And then there were open world games like Far Cry. They're different arts in those two. There's multiplayer everything, and that's a whole genre of art itself. It's hard to explain it, in my opinion.
no, that's an interesting. That art can take many different forms, even within the sphere of gaming.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can't even describe, like the game I'm playing right now, Andromeda, for instance. I'm pausing because of the dialogue. I might lower the volume on my PC for it. But games like this, it has its own quirks. It has its own good moments and its bad moments. Like Cyberpunk 2077, when I finally put a what's it called? When I finally put in it a 2080 Ti, which you have to know how I bought it. I bought it for $60 along with two 1 terabyte SSD hard drives. Yeah, I think I made a deal with the devil in that one, but it was my uncle and he didn't want the computer anymore. So I took that, and yeah, I now have a computer that's capable of being RTX again. But I'm just saying, when I finally got that, I was able to play Cyberpunk for it finally. And I actually enjoyed that game. I was able to put onto it. And this was a controversy just because Epic took, and it was the first game Epic took from Steam. It was Metro Exodus. I finally played it when I finally played the RTX upgrade for it, and it was amazing. I'm still haven't given time for The Witcher 3, and that's another game as well. Witcher 3, for instance, people jump down the throat of that game just because they don't like it, or this or that or this or that. Witcher 3 was like the pinnacle of people saying, "Oh, this is stupid." Remember Ian Miles Chung?
Yeah.
He after playing that game, he realized, even he thought, "Okay, this is stupid." Like it was that point where it was like The Witcher 3 was people like the breaking point for some people in the anti-GamerGate. And for us, I'm trying to think of the game that did it for me. It was just recently too. It I can't describe it. It's just a bunch of games where the anti-SJW type of people went down because of how it looks or something like that, or the pronouns. Here it is. Starfield. The pronouns. You know how many times that came up? None. Except for he, she, or he, him, she, her, They, them. There's nothing else that actually impacted. It was just so they could say, I mean, yeah, you could, but then again, Cyberpunk did the same thing. You could literally make a smoking hot woman with a giant, yeah. You could literally put parts on a body that shouldn't be there because it's Cyberpunk. But I'm just saying, people praise that game, but they go after Starfield for something stupid. And that was stupid. And it's not like The Sims 4. Actually, it's the same as The Sims 4. People don't know this. You could literally. This is how funny The Sims 4 came. Do you pee standing up or sitting down? That's how meticulous The Sims 4 was.
Some people would say that as an art form, criticism of video games needs to move beyond just criticizing the game's gameplay, graphics, controls, story, etc., and instead start involving criticism of how the game impacts the world, the politics of the game. What do you think of that argument?
Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. There is nothing in the world. We've already seen this once. It was Mortal Kombat back in the early 90s, or the mid 90s, a Night Trap of Mortal Kombat. And I mean, it was so effective that ESRB had to be created so the government wouldn't step in. That's basically why ESRB got created, was because the government wouldn't have to step in. So, yeah, it was just, damn it. Yeah, my mind jumps everywhere when I talk too much.
Oh,
Sorry
fine.
about that.
I'm interviewing you, so you can talk as much as
I
much as
know,
you
but
want.
I'm just saying, no, I don't like doing this usually, just constantly talking. But no, you do not want it to get involved, or we'll have something as stupid as Australia or Germany trying to cherry pick everything just because you had something in the World War II era and they had swastikas, because you're afraid that Germany would ban the game, when it was just that's what the history was like. That's what actually happened and stuff. And people trying to change, and this is the biggest insult I've ever seen with video games as a history buff myself. It's when they decide to take liberties with everything, and it's like Age of Empires was famous for that, taking liberties. Like, if you've ever played the games and you actually looked at the history books, you would be like, well, this is really off.
I used to play Age of Empires. I played the first one and the second one.
Mm-hmm. Third one was okay. Fourth one actually is taking more of a historical stance and actually being more realistic with history itself. It's a way better game than what it used to be. But no, it's just, I don't think, like any art form, politics shouldn't be allowed to be thrown into it. It's stupid.
Shouldn't
You
be
should,
allowed to be thrown in. What do you
or
mean by
no,
that?
shouldn't, no, people shouldn't be dragging it into it. That's what I was trying to say. You shouldn't be trying to drag, oh, you're this or you're that party. I'm not going to say any party names, but you're so and so's party, you have so and so's belief. You should throw it. You should be trying to influence it to your own beliefs. No, games like that make us think about what what's different in the world. It literally takes you out of your life and put it into a virtual world. And I don't know. Ugh.
Do you think there's any value in video games that explore politics like Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah, to a point there is. If it's like that they're trying to do a social commentary, fine, so be it. As long as it's good, or it's, how do I put this? As long it's not like, oh, it's going to fit with your beliefs or something. It shows how it really was, like Metal Gear Solid 5, for instance, Phantom Pain. It literally showed in Africa they actually had child soldiers, the shit the Soviets did in Afghanistan. It was things like that. They showed you the real world of what was actually going on at that time. But that was Metal Gear Solid. Call of Duty just recently, it shows what's actually going on in the military world, like Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, it shows some pretty strong shit. of like, okay, this is what's going on. You might be comfortable in your own small town or your own city block or something like that, but this is what it looks like in the rest of the world. It's things like that that I like, because it gets you into thinking. It makes you thinking it could have been a lot worse for us, is how I think it.
Earlier, you were responding to one of the comments in the chat, but then you didn't finish. Was there anything you wanted to say, or?
What, that I never went through it, but it's funny that I never been through harassment, but I talked about other people's. No, I
No, I
was
don't think
just
that's what they meant. Sorry, I know the person in the
okay.
chat.
I know. I just didn't know what it meant. Sorry. It was just I misread the thing. Sorry about that, whoever that was.
Yeah, Miss Sonata.
Uh
They were opposed to GamerGate at the time.
I know. But I mean, it's stupid now when you look back at it. Like how extreme everybody got. It was stupid. And that's how I put it. It was idiotic. It was stupid. We were all morons back then that thought, oh, we go this or we go that. And I'm not going to say Gamergate were saints. We were far from that. We were the complete opposite of that. But neither was the other side. No side was innocent during that time. We all were lunatics. Like we were calling for bans, we were calling for boycotts. There were doxing from here and there that both sides actually did. Sad to say this, both sides actually were doing doxing. It wasn't just the antis. Some of the pros actually did the doxing too. It was just it. Let's just say, I'm glad that that is no longer around.
Do you think a lot of the pro GamerGate people were supporting censorship?
No, not all. A few, yes. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, a few of them definitely were. Um, I think most of us didn't, but
No, most of us didn't. And if we did, like we had a family that said you're starting to be just like them, and it would knock you back in your head. Like if you like for instance, earlier I said I was around a lot of girl power feminists. If you said, I'll help you with that, you're not going to be able to handle it. And she smacked the living crap out of you and says, I can do it. And then they prove you wrong. It's things like that that I've always had respect for. But then I don't know. I've been around people like that my whole life, and just looking back at Gamergate, it was a crapshoot for all of us.
do you not think that there's any value in the feminist or critical theory analysis of video games?
They could have their opinions if it's like the complete opposite, but then when you push for your extreme side, what happens, and this is why I've been against extremism for the past 10 years, when you push it, or for the past 20 years actually in my life, when you push the pendulum far out, it'll come back toward you. So if you put it extreme for one side, it'll back to extreme to the other. It's like, oh, the SJWs don't like this, so let's push it this way, and they don't make money, and they're like, okay, we'll go to the anti-SJWs, and then like even the moderates of us is saying you went a little too far, and it just went back and forth, back and forth. I never liked the pendulum effect of just anything. When it goes too far to one side, I get annoyed by that side. When it goes too far to the other side, I get annoyed by that side. That's how I've always thought of things in my life.
If you were the editor-in-chief of a gaming website and some of your employees were credibly accused of ethical violations, what would you have done?
Uh, how would I have handled this? I remember someone saying that I would have put them on a suspension. I would have had an investigator go around looking at everything. I would have had the whole thing be investigated first. I would have the person put on like paid leave or something like that, and I would have them stay, keep them in, but have them on hold, like what they would do with corruption and government cases and stuff. I would have that happen, and I would have an investigation come forward. And if it's proven that they were corrupt, I would throw their asses out the door, because you don't want corruption. If you're doing so, if you say you stand by these issues, you gotta if you say you want to be a journalist, you have to go by the standards of journalism, not, oh, we could take money from this, or, oh, so and so is dating this game dev and they want to write a good article about the game that game dev made. It's things like that that we all look at and say, yeah, that is not a good thing. And that's both sides. I mean, I've remember Based Gamer when that came out.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew the group people writing for that. I knew Jenny. I knew one of my friends, Joel. They were writing for that stuff, and I thought, oh, hey, this is a good idea. But then another writer I knew from another website said, with the money they had, they could have done way better with this. And even though he turned out to be as much of a complete idiot as they were, it's just whenever you swing to the pendulum on one side, it's going to rock back to the other. And I do not like riding on that pendulum anymore. I've learned the hard way of what happens when you ride on the pendulum. It hurts.
What kind of reforms would you have liked to see the Games Press do? What kind of reforms would you have liked to see from the Games Press?
More of like, okay, this is what we were running on the game. This is what's going on and stuff. Remember this one, but I think it was a Kotaku writer or a Polygon writer that were complaining about. I wasn't worried about that. I was eating the free food and talking about Filipino politics. All games are stupid. And someone in the comments went to another article and then they posted, okay, this is what it was about. And they posted this long form comment. Everybody's like, okay, so that's what it's supposed to be about. Not all video games are stupid. And I'd rather talk about politics. It's things
I
like
do remember
that.
that.
Yeah, I told the guy, quit screwing around and do your job. He blocked me immediately. It's a term we always said in Montana. It's like, you're not being paid to do that. You're not being paid to sleep. You're not being paid to smoke. You're not being paid to do this or do that. You're paid to do your actual job. And that's how I thought of it. And that's how I think of all those jobs. Like, you want to be a journalist? Be a journalist. If you want to be an if you want to do opinion pieces, do opinion pieces. But don't put yourself as saying, like, because people take it as fact if they believe you're covering the facts instead of, oh, these are just your opinions. You have to separate them. You have to separate opinions from facts. And you have to put it in there. That's my personal opinion of it.
Obviously, text-based game journalism has declined a bit with YouTube and streaming and all these other ways that people get their gaming news. Do you think that there's still a place for good text-based games journalism?
I don't know anymore. I mean, it's hard to predict anything. Like, we thought, like, remember when Vine first came out, everybody thought that was the future, and then it shut down. Everybody's like, okay, it went away, and then TikTok came back. You cannot predict these things at all. None of us can. No matter what, you cannot predict it. For all we know, the journalism sites might come back with a vengeance. They might go the way of the dodo. We're not sure what's going to happen, but when it does, we're going to see it. You cannot be prepared. That's not the word. Damn it. When I'm on the fly and I'm not prepared, I say random things. You're not prepared for the game to be, or you're not prepared to see. I don't know what I'm saying. All I'm saying is no matter what, we're not prepared to see what's going to happen. You can't prepare to predict the future because it's impossible. That's what I was saying.
Do you have any thoughts on the Game Journos Pro list?
Game Journals Pro List. What was that one again?
That's when almost 150 games journalists were on this mailing group, and it was revealed that they were colluding.
I'm not surprised. It is what it is. Was I surprised that it happened? No, I'm not surprised that it happened. It happens in a lot of fields where people are together. Mark Rober, when he was going after the scammers in India, they had a huge group of them that would all interlay like, okay, they're getting wise to these tricks. Let's change it. Everybody is learning from everybody in these groups. Like, it happens everywhere. Like, let's just say, like I said, like knitting or crocheting or whatever, or crafting in general, like arts and crafts crafting. There are a lot of groups in those where people talk, like video game fans and stuff like us. People that love playing video games, and we talk. It's nothing that I'm surprised about. I mean, it's stupid that they collude and they all want to get out the same narrative, so they all write at the same time. That is a little immoral, but I don't know.
But just having friends in a friend group online where you're talking with each other and you all work in the same industry, you don't think that's wrong necessarily, even if they work for different websites?
No, yeah, it is a little bit wrong in that regard, yes. But when you all try to when the companies try to gather together and everyone try to say, okay, let's push for this narrative, and all the journalists look like they're, and I'm not kidding, during this times of Gamergate, it was like they were all a part of a hive mind. I'm not kidding. That was more of a hive mind than anything else because of how they wrote articles. It was the same exact thing. It was
Lisa in the
just,
chat says, "You've got this, Leon."
oh, hey, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, but thanks. Yeah, I'm my mind is everywhere right now. But no, it's just it what it reminded me of is it reminded me of a hive mind, like I said it. It was everyone, every gamer was just having their minds, or every journalist, not gamer, every journalist were writing the same thing the exact same way. And before that, you're like, wait a minute, are they colluding? And when the game journalist posting came up, we're like, oh well, that's not a big shock, they were colluding.
Miss
So yeah, it
Sonata.
was.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Miss Sonata in the chat says, "I'm glad you're doing better now, Leon. It sounds like you were
Thanks.
really going through a tough time."
Oh yeah, I let me just say, my health has gotten better. Mentally, my health has gotten better over the years, and yeah, it wasn't just Gamergate that set my health into a downward spiral. It was just a slow incline of years of stress and stuff. But this was just like the whole Zoe Quinn thing. It was the fuse that was finally lit, and I finally was able to get the help I needed. Just like the whole games journalist thing, it was a slow fuse that got lit, or it was a slow powder keg built up, and then when someone lit the fuse, it exploded, and then the fire went out after a while, and we were all like, wow, that was horrific, and we're glad it's over. It was sort of like that for Gamergate for me. It was just a fuse finally got lit, and the explosion happened, and the explosion had an aftermath of 2 years. Is the best way for me to describe it. It
Yeah,
felt like the aftermath of it hit us up until like late 2016. I felt the aftermath because it was horrible in 2015, 2016. And then it finally started to die down, and we're like, oh, thank God. We're grateful that it ended. That's how I thought of it.
in August 2015, Michael Koretsky, a regional director of the Society of Professional Journalists, hosted the SPJ Airplay Conference. The idea of the
Mhm.
conference was to have journalistic ethics experts meet with Gamergate supporters to discuss their concerns about games journalism and the way the media covered Gamergate. The second half of the conference was interrupted by bomb threats, forcing the convention center to be evacuated. Do you have any thoughts on this event?
It ends tonight. I'm just thinking of Arthur Chu posting that thing about the Gamergate meetup. It ends tonight. It just reminds me of that. It was just some lunatic that called it in. I didn't even know who called it in. Just some lunatic. Just did that. They had a good art. They had a good thing going for a while. I mean, yeah, it was a little. The host of it was a little off the hinges during it, and it had to take one from the anti side to say, we're supposed to talk about it like this. And but the bomb threat is what destroyed it. I mean, it was already going down. It was already going downhill fast. That debate. It was more like the host was debating with everyone else. I remember that stream really well.
The host, as in Michael Koretsky.
I think that's who it was. Yeah,
What
I'm
do you?
not sure. I'm not sure if that was who it was or someone else, but the one that was the moderator,
Yeah.
he was handling. He was supposed to be the moderator. He lost his flipping mind during the whole thing. He was like, I don't know. It was like his. It was like me, for instance. His mind wasn't completely there with how he was handling, and it had to take what was his name? Derek. I can't think of it right now.
Derek Smart.
Derek Smart to jump in and say had to be the voice of reason, which is hilarious when it takes that guy to had to be the voice of reason for anything. It was, yeah, I remember that. It was just a dumpster fire anyway. The bomb threat just added was just the bomb threat put out that fire of stupidity.
Well, I've interviewed Michael Koretsky, and he's
Mhm.
watching these videos most likely, or at least going to buy the book. He said he's going to watch them. Do you have any feedback for him on how he could do better in the future, since you didn't like the way he moderated?
Uh, just give the people just moderate the debate. Don't jump off the hinge. Don't get off, like, how do I put this? Don't jump off the ledge. You're supposed to be the moderator, and that's what he should have been at the time. But I understand how he was. I was crazy back then. He probably was stressed as well. Like, none of us. Ugh, I hated those times. Yeah, it was. It was not really good around that time of the year. Or I don't know. My mind is not here, and I keep telling you that.
Yeah, we don't. We can skip some of the questions if you want. If you
Okay,
want.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, this one might be one that you might want to talk about. Some people said that GamerGate should end after that conference, the AirPlay event. Do you think that they were right?
GamerGate was losing its steam at that time. I know people say it wasn't. It was. And most of us, we were. I was done with it around that time anyway. I knew a lot of us were like, okay, we cannot keep this going for a while. We need to have something new to talk about. We need, if we want to keep doing live streams, we want to keep talking with each other, we have to find something new to talk about. Gamergate was already going downhill at that time, and it was just, yeah, wasn't Michael Kretzky's fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just a dying. It was a dying hashtag at the time. It was losing its steam, and after that whole thing, that what's it called, the Game Journal's thing that they did, that debate. After that, it just went like, okay, we're all done with it. Most of us were done with it after that.
Some Gamergate supporters believed that pressuring advertisers to pull out would be a good way to convince the gaming publications to initiate ethical reforms. What did you think of this strategy?
Originally, if it was people supporting bullying and stuff, I could understand that. Like, but in my mind nowadays, when I think of that, I think of the other side doing it as well. It's just it's trying to deplatform someone for their beliefs. And I've always said this. I never stand with things like that. It's always been stupid to try to. Everybody has their own opinions, in my opinion of it all. They want to be idiots, let them be idiots. I was an idiot, and I'll admit it. I was a complete total dipshit. But you know what? I got better over the years and stuff. Time makes you a better person usually. And they were allowed to have their own opinions and stuff. But the trigger that irritated me the most was the Allison rap thing, because he used that as GamerGate and stuff, and then people are like, "Wait a minute, did you guys have anything to do with this?" I'm like, I thought I didn't agree with what she said and stuff, but I wasn't one of the ones that pressured Nintendo to have her fired. It was things like that, and then everybody's like, "Oh, all of you people did this." Like they were trying to put all of us in the same the same area of trying to have someone fired. Oh, and that's another thing during the Gamergate days. The antis had, like, I can't tell you how many people lost their job because of doxing, because they would attack the employers. And it got to the point where the employers let the employees go.
Yeah, we did get blamed for Allison Rapp getting fired. You're right. Even
Oh,
though only 9 GamerGate people, or 14 GamerGate people, if you consider GG Revolt to be part of GamerGate, which I did not.
no.
Only 9 people in GamerGate supported the campaign to get her fired. I did
No.
an analysis at the time of everyone who supported the campaign. It was only 9 people on our
Yeah,
side.
I personally, I didn't like what she said, but I was like, I mean, there are other reasons. There was another reason why she got fired. It was just the excuse Nintendo had at the time, from what I heard of it. But it made us look like hypocrites. We were considered hypocrites at that point. I was like, I'm not a hypocrite. Why would I try to get someone to get fired? I called out, I condemned people for trying to get other people fired. I knew people that got doxxed by these lunatics. I had their family that people went to their door and harassed them. And I'm not going to say names or anything, but I've heard it firsthand of people getting doxxed and harassed from them. So yeah, I've seen it happen before, and I stood against that kind of stuff. But having her get fired for her opinions was wrong, in my opinion.
I
Trying to get
agree.
someone that's celebrating. I mean, there was jokes around of what she actually did, why she got fired. I mean, there are people joking. That's one thing, but it was people that were. This is what we all said. We it is, and the reason why a lot of us thought the reason why we originally thought she should have been fired was because of how she handled the situation about Fire Emblem Fates, and how she just attacked people that complained about it.
Well,
And
to
yeah,
be
she
clear, we
attacked.
don't know if she specifically was involved with
She
the
was in
censorship.
charge. No, she wasn't involved with it, but everybody that complained, she jumped down their throat.
And 1,200 people in Kotaku in Action did condemn the
Oh
people
yeah.
trying to get Allison Rapp fired. I also made a video at the time criticizing the people who tried to get her fired.
Oh yeah, and this is what we all said. It was like, yeah, we didn't like the stuff she said. Yeah, we stand against the stuff she said. But one of the things was when we found out about this, we said it sucks that she lost her job. It shouldn't have been because of that reason. You shouldn't be fired for because someone kept calling the publisher, telling them, or the company telling them, oh, this person should be fired. It makes us look like hypocrites when you do stuff like that. And that was like the eye opening thing for me that said, okay, maybe we were off the hinge a little bit too far. And it wasn't our fault. It was just, okay, I'll see this one. Oh yeah. Yeah, people getting fired for their views is the sort of thing you're supposed to be against. Yeah, I agree with that one. Looked at the thing it posted. A lot of us saw that and we're like, what the hell is this hashtag even came to? Where some of us were like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just it. It was like the point where we're like, okay, I think I'm done with this. That was my issue with it. I think I'm done with this whole thing. I'm washing my hands of this Gamergate issue now. I am done with it. Because when the people that celebrated it were the same people that condemned the firing of a bunch of pro GGers during 2014, 2015, when they did that, that was the point where I said, okay, they became the people they swore to fight against.
I know you said that Gamergate's about ethics and games journalism. Some people also said that GamerGate was about creative freedom and the right of artists to make the games that they want to make. Were you involved in that
Yeah,
at all?
at times I was. At times where I was like, yeah, you shouldn't be trying to force people to follow you for this reason. There was a stupid game called Hatred, which was a stupid game, but it got attention because the antis kept whining about it. And it's like, you basically threw press onto this game because you didn't like it. It was things like that that I was like, that's a stupid premise. I'm not going to play it, but I'm not going to stand in its way being created. And that's how I always thought of it. Unless it's something that's 100% illegal, like really horrific stuff, or like like piracy or stuff like that, where they rip off companies, like rip off music or things like that, or texture files and stuff where they just steal it from other things and try to say they made it, like plagiarizing to a point, but even plagiarizing. Yeah, I'm against that. Digital homicide with what they were doing. Is it digital homicide?
I don't know. I know Hatred
They
though.
were, yeah, but I'm just saying digital homicide, they did a bunch of Jim Sterling always hated them, and I understood why, because like they weren't even games, they were just asset flips. I was always against companies that did that, but I've never, even though I hated it, even though I hated those types, some of the types of games that the I don't want to stand in the way is how I always thought of it. That's how I always thought of it. I just didn't want to stand in the way of a lot of different games journalists, not games journalists. I didn't want to stand in the way of people that were making their art. If it's what they wanted to make, let them make it. If they wanted to make a stupid graphic novel game about, I don't know, just random things. But it's when people get really messed up and they do things that are really messed up. Like just recently, in the indie game cycle, YouTuber, a creator named Yandere Dev, he made some. There were some messed up things that came out about him. Like I stopped supporting that game when I found out he did some really messed up things. It's when you find out, it's just it's your preferences what you like. You want to support the gamer, you can't. The game company, you can. If you don't, don't.
Where do you draw the line between criticism and a censorship campaign?
Criticism and censorship campaign, when you actively try to tell, like for instance with Steam, for instance, they have a terms of service. They tell you that, oh, you could put it on here as long as you follow the terms of service. When people try to bypass, when people just go out of their way to bypass that TOS and have the games taken off of it, even though they were right in the TOS, they were right in legal law here in the US. It was everything that was legal that you could do to sell the game. It was your original creation. When people try to jump in the way of the game and try to have it be stopped from being published, that's when I have a problem, because unless it was actually illegal, and I mean illegal, uh, you couldn't. I wouldn't have a problem. Like there's one game from the mid 2000s, the Guy game. You know why that one's illegal? Because one of the contestants was 17 when the game was made. So yeah, they had to ban that game. But I'm just saying, things like that are fine if you have to stop, either fix it or get rid of it if it's that type of thing. But if it's just, oh, like the thing Brianna Wu made, what was that game called again?
Revolution 60?
Revolution 60. Yeah. If if it's just that and they want to make it, let them make it. If they want to put that up there, let them. Or if you wanted to put a game like Hatred up, there's nothing illegal against the game. You could say, yes, it's in bad taste, but no, you cannot stop it. Yeah, and I would say, yeah, Hatred is in bad taste, but can't stop it, really. Like, there's a lot of racist games out there I do not side with. Like, like games that are actually that actually promote hatred of a certain group or another, I don't support, but I can't actively try to have it deplatformed because, well, unless it goes against terms of service, I cannot go after it. I think usually games like that would go against terms of service, but I'm against deplatforming personally.
I know we talked about this a little bit before we went live, but do you have any thoughts on the removal of content from some foreign games when they are localized?
Removal of content. Oh yeah, I get annoyed by that. I mean, I understand why they try doing it, like Fire Emblem Fates. When I went into that one about the whole Alice Map thing, it's localization that's really the problem. If they don't localize it right, or if they if they don't even have, like Final Fantasy VIII, for instance, Squall, they had them always stay quiet. There was like dot 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 every time you would hear them talk, even though there was dialogue, but they were too lazy and they didn't want to translate it. It's things like that. I'm like, okay, that's just dumb. And Ace Combat 3 is another example. They literally took, I think, like what, 30%, 40% of the game out
Yeah.
because they didn't. I mean, it had an interesting premise. It had an anime style story to it. It was pretty interesting. The original premise, we saw the original cutscenes for Ace Combat 3. It actually was pretty good. But they got rid of it for, I don't know why they did it. It was probably localization, but who knows? I never understood it, why they got rid of it. But I mean, yeah, when localization gets screwed up, yeah, I get annoyed by that. But but that right there, but that right there is a problem of its own. You do not need. Damn it. I'm trying to think here. You do not need the whole thing with localization. Crap. Sorry. Go
No,
ahead
you're
and
fine.
ask me a
There's no
question.
rush. There's no rush. I'm
I
just
know
asking for the
what
book.
yeah, my meds keep me from thinking a lot, so it's just localization. It's either the companies want to make it like they were afraid of kicking up controversy about the journalist, which is funny because Tecmo or whatever it was that released Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball 3 or Dead or Alive Extreme 3. That's what
Yeah.
it's called. Remember that one, the whole thing? And
Oh
then,
yeah.
yeah, and they're like, oh, we just don't want to do it because we're sick and tired of you guys whining about every little thing. And then, like, a company jumped in and they made an ass load of money by distributing it to the Americans, to the Americans, Europeans. They put the localized game, they put the international copy out there with English text and stuff. They sent that out there, and everybody's like, oh, hey, we could buy it. And I forgot what the company was called, but they made a killing with that game because
Polite Asia.
everybody's like, yes, that's it.
Did you buy the game?
No, I didn't. I didn't have any interest in the game. It wasn't my thing, but I supported those that wanted to buy it. I I mean, I understand why the company, because they were sick and tired of the bullshit that people kept saying to them. I understand that, but I'm against it, but I understand it for people. I understand, like, they're okay, we're tired of this. We're done with this bull crap anymore. If you want to play it, go through PlayAsia or something like that. We're not handling this anymore. That's basically what it was. It was just the game developers were sick and tired of it, of the call for censorship. They just got sick and tired of it.
I have a few political questions coming up. They're about
Okay.
the political views of GamerGate supporters. I know that you don't want to talk about politics too
I don't
much.
care. I'm fine with talking about the idiots.
Okay. Some critics argue that GamerGate was mostly or entirely right wing. Do you think that is accurate?
Originally, no. 90% of us weren't that way. I think a lot of people got burned by the left And big time, like, there was stupid shit in there that people did that wanted to call us, like the whole Ghostbusters controversy and stuff. It was stupid shit like that that did not paint one side in a good light. But the right wingers, oh God, he hated those people. I mean, they drove me just as crazy as the other ones did because it made me think, oh, maybe the right is right. And I was like, you just made me think of a party that I don't stand with to think I support them. And 9 times out of 10, let's just say it, let's just say my beliefs were shaken at that time quite a bit. But then I went back to my beliefs of being a moderate where I thought, okay, I'm going to take the sides of both sides, see who's right in one area and who's right in another area. That's what being a moderate's about. And I do not like working with extremists. And by that time, when the politics got heavy into it, I was like, yeah, this is not right for my health. That's when my health started taking downward spiral. And my mom literally gave me an ultimatum of either go to a psychiatrist or I'm going to have them institutionalize you. It was around that time.
We have a question from Miss Sonata in the chat
Mhm.
who asks, "What do you think of games like Depression Quest and Gone Home?"
I, you know what? I mean, they shouldn't be considered games, but they're interactive experiences. Like Gone Home, I have no problem with it. I mean, I bought it and I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I thought it was a survival horror and it wasn't. I got gypped on that end. When they lie about what it is, that's when that's when I have a problem. But if they wanted to make their own narrative, I mean, yeah, I had a few issues with how Gone Home was written, but that was just what they thought of doing the story of. It was just about a troubled girl who fell in love with another that went to the military and then they ran off together. That's all it was. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything else. It was just you walking around the house, slowly unlocking the doors and reading the poorly voiced lines of, sorry, I forgot the character's name, Sam, I think it was, or whoever it was. It was like, hey, this is what happened and stuff. And you just slowly read the journal and stuff the whole time when you walk through. I mean, the atmosphere of it could have made it survival horror gold. Do you remember when PT came out? Silent Hill PT came out.
I've actually never played a single Silent Hill game, but I love Resident Evil.
Oh, but I'm just saying it had that feeling where you're walking around an abandoned house, and this is more of like a mansion than a house, like a giant, like a borderline small mansion. And you're walking around it and stuff, and most of the doors are locked, and you have to find ways to get around it and stuff. It was almost like an exploration puzzle game for Gone Home, and that was fine. I actually enjoyed that part of it, but I mean, by trying to say it was survival horror is what I had a problem with.
You
I
said that.
mean,
Good.
yeah, go ahead.
You said that they're interactive experiences, but you wouldn't classify them as games. Do you think it's useful to draw that distinction?
Oh yeah, video games, for instance, like Mass Effect Andromeda, I'm playing right now. You could lose out big time. You have a chance of failure. That's what I think of it as a video game. The stakes are you have a chance of losing. When it comes to something like Gone Home, there was no chances of losing. It's just an infinite. It's a game that lasts as long as you want it to. It's a experience that lasts as long as you want it to last. Like VR things that you play. Like if you had an Oculus Quest or an Oculus Rift or whatever, and you want to play a VR experience, you could do that. Like my mom, when I first bought my Quest 2, my mom saw the Anne Frank housing and she wanted to try it. And it's things like that. They're experiences. They're not games. You're learning something. Like there's another one for the Quest 2, which was a NASA an International Space Station experience where you're literally seeing what it feels like you're looking through the eyes of an astronaut. It's things like that. They're experiences. They're not games, but they're experiences, and they're pretty good at being that.
So, you think in order for it to be a game, it has to have the ability to win or lose?
Yes, that's a game. That's a term for a game. I think video games anymore are being blanketed. I mean, like for instance, Gone Home and Dear Esther. Dear Esther didn't have a point of failure, and it was just like a long, and it was a beautifully done atmosphere for the experience. It had an amazing atmosphere for being a source game. I'm not kidding. They actually did a good job at just creating the world itself around, and you just walking down. It was just like a story time of, okay, what is the story? And you're trying to draw the conclusions in your own head. Oh, is it about this? Oh, is it him talking to his dead wife and trying to get over the acceptance type of thing? It's things like that that make you think, but there is no point of failure in that. Just like the VR headsets, like the roller coaster rides that you could do, which I've known a lot of people, a lot of family friends of mine would do first when they put the VR headset on. That is not a point of failure. But like the Star Wars games I had on it, yeah, you would lose out. You had a chance of failure. But Beat Saber, for instance, has a chance of failure or success. It depends on how you play it. You just have to draw the line between if it's something you have to put, if it's something that you could take. Damn it. It's just something. There's a line to be drawn of what a game is and what an experience is. Like a visual novel, for instance. Heck, like when I talked about Yandere Simulator with that messed up developer we found out about, that had a point of failure, even though it had more of the looks of a virtual experience. There's a point of failure in that. So it could have been called the game, but now it's going to be nothing because the dev was a complete total dipshit. But I mean, there are times where a visual novel could have a point of failure, and then you could call it a game. But you have to. It has to have stakes in it for it to be a game. That's how I put it. Like not Mass Effect, XCOM, for instance. That's a perfect way of saying you could get hit by failure at any cost. Like you could put like 50 hours in or like 20 hours in XCOM and you could lose out big time and lose the entire progress that you made. Like there are things like that, but there are things as light as, let's say, Mass Effect, where you die and then you could instantly restart the level or the area that you were in at the save point. It's things like that. There could be like a great punch to your gut like XCOM, or it could be a light punch to the gut or a light slap on the face like most FPSs.
I know you've talked about how you view the extremes as a major problem, and you view yourself as a moderate. Do you want to talk about your own political views?
I am a centrist and stuff. I've really never liked to take political sides in any way. Uh, oh yeah, I agree with that one. But uh, I do not like to take political sides anymore. I've seen what politics has done to my family and stuff, and it's not a good thing. So I've always taken the center on everything. Like I have refused. I side with the people that are not fully nutcases. That's my opinion on sides. I've only taken sides with people and very lightly taken sides with the non-nutcases. I don't fully take their sides because I know give it another 5, 10 years and they'll be the nutcases again. It's a pendulum. That's what politics are like. It's just a pendulum of moderate people, of people that have their minds in order, and then they become extreme, and the other people get their minds in order, and then they get extreme. It's just a back and forth pendulum of politics. That's why I don't like getting involved with it anymore. Trust me, I have a dad who's a very hardline Republican, and I have a lot of high school teachers that are hardline liberal. So I do know from a fact of what happens when people argue, and I've learned that the GamerGate thing was a wake up call to me to that it's not good for my mental health.
Did you interact with any anti-Gamergate people?
Not as much. I've interacted with a few people, that seemed like they were okay people and stuff. You don't think I think, but you're okay type of person. I've seen a few of those people, but I've seen a few dipshits. Like there's this guy named Helicopter Guy. He was like, I don't even know. At first we thought he was a troll, but then he believed everything he was saying, and it was to the point where he said like racist things when he when he was trying to prove his point. I've seen it firsthand with some of these people, and it's like, damn. Yeah, I've seen both sides of the article. Like when you had me on for that trans thing about Mass Effect, or not Mass Effect, what's that game called? Starfield, when we were talking about that thing, there was just like this back and forth between extremists and moderate thoughts. And I'm like, now I knew why I left Gamergate. It was just that constant back and forth and stuff, and it drove me insane. I mean, I respect people's opinions, respect their beliefs and stuff like that. They want to believe whatever they want to believe. That's fine. That as long as they don't try to force that down other people's throats. That's when I have the problem with them.
If Helicopter Guy or Anita Sarkeesian or Brianna Wu or somebody like that approached you today and wanted to have a conversation, do you think that you could have a civil conversation with them?
Actually, I would. It's like, yeah, we were idiots back then. Yeah, let's talk about how much idiots we were back then in those days. And now it's a reflection on who we were and what we became. And that's the type of discussions I would like with some of these people. It's like, yeah, we were this way back in 2014, 2015, 2016, and part of 2017, but we've changed over the last 10 years. Your minds have changed when you grew up. You mature in your like yeah, it's just a whole issue with maturity, and you look back at it and say, yeah, we were idiots back then. And I would say that about the pro just as much as the anti. I bet those people that that said the stupid shit that they said, like borderline racist things on a live stream that I've heard them say, and it's not that I've actually heard people say that was like bordering on racism, and that because they wanted to prove their point. I've seen things like that, and I'm thinking to myself, if I would have asked them today what they thought of themselves back then, they'd probably say I'm disgusted by my actions back then. And we would all say that. Like I said with myself, I was disgusted by my actions back then. But yeah, you look back at yourself in the past and you're like, what the hell was wrong with me? That's how I put it.
Yeah, I've gone down memory lane looking back at the Gamergate stuff. I think I made a lot of good arguments, and I think I made some really dumb arguments. But I'm glad for the experience to have learned, and I feel like a lot of the work I did was good, and a lot of it wasn't. The more long form stuff I did on my channel, I'm pretty happy with. The
Mhm.
more short form, I'm gonna do like a 3 minute video about this controversy, or 5 minutes. Like that was not as the most. Those weren't the most nuanced takes usually.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, you know. But I
Mhm.
did a lot of. It's a mixed bag, you know. You looking back at the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah. And like you see with me, like everything my mind jumping from one end of the area to the other. It's Asperger's syndrome for me. I'm not going to use it as a crutch, but I'm just going to say it's uh it's something that always it's just something you learn the hard way. Okay, you should not be this way, but you have to think it. You have to look back. It's a period of reflection, like looking back at Gamergate. It's like you're looking back at yourself. Holy shit, I was crazy back then. My minds back then of being stressed out and stuff, seeing like horrific things happen to people, and then you say stupid shit, you're looking back like, oh my god, was I an idiot back then? And you look back at it now, you look back and then just where your mind is right now compared to where you were when you were younger, you think, oh, thank God I'm not that idiot anymore. That's how I think about it when I look back at Gamergate. I thought I was an idiot in the early days of it.
I do want to push back a little bit on the helicopter guy thing. I know you thought he
Mhm.
was dumb, and a lot of people did. A lot of people didn't like Helicopter Guy, but I've interacted with him maybe more than a lot of other people did. I think he really did believe in the things that he did, and I don't think he was like totally crazy because
No, he wasn't.
he did a lot of research, right? He knew what was happening in the GamerGate community as it was going on. Most of the anti-GamerGate people didn't. He actually knew the stuff that was going on.
I don't know. Yeah, I understand that, but when the first stream that we've ever really interacted with him was on my live stream and stuff, and the stupid shit he said, let's just say he said a lot of stupid shit, and I think he would even reflect back at that and say, what the hell was I thinking saying those words? Like, even he would probably reflect on that. Like, we all say stupid shit when we're just shooting the shit and stuff. And we look back at that and say, holy shit, I was an idiot. And that's how I think of it. Like, everyone has that opinion where it's like, you look back and say, okay, I'm glad I'm no longer that person. That's how I put it. I know it's, ugh. I mean, I think he might have matured over the years, so I'm giving him that benefit of the doubt, because who knows what he's like today. Like you said about John Kelly, he improved over the years.
Well, I don't know if that's true. One person told me that.
Yeah, one person, but I'm just saying, someone could have gotten moderate over the years. People could have been moderated over the years, and
Sure.
like people change. It's not like, oh, they have this extreme thoughts and stuff. Like Brianna Wu, for instance, I don't know what she's been doing now, but I heard she's been different than what she used to be like.
She's moderated too. I operate in the same community she does. We've not really talked directly one-on-one yet. I'm not sure she's interested in that, but I'm open to the conversation. And it seems like she has moderated. She's talked with PSA Sitch and the Hat Man, who obviously used to disagree with her on a lot of stuff and maybe still do.
Yeah. Yeah,
I,
it's just, yeah, you look at that and you're like, okay, everyone's changed since then. Like, are they going to be these, is it going to be, I don't remember. It's just, it drove me insane back then.
did you change anybody's mind on GamerGate, or did you make any friends from the other side?
Uh, Kind of, sort of, not really. What we did was we just abandoned it after like 2015 ended. We're like, okay, we're not going to talk about this anymore. There's no more reason to talk about this. We cannot let this thing keep going. You're beating the dead horse, basically, and you should not be. You should be trying to focus on different things, talk about different things you like and stuff, because you're doing live stream at this point and stuff. The Oracle's running stream of corruption. We were handling stuff like that. And we're like, okay, we have to focus on other things because this isn't going to last for too much longer. Like for me, for instance, when I would do live streaming, I covered E3 and stuff like that. I used to cover E3 all the time. And then it just, yeah. I mean, I think I still have the live reactions of us finding out that Fallout 76 was multiplayer only. Yeah, that was still a funny thing. But I mean, reason why I've actually interacted with a bunch of people that were anti and stuff like that. I've had good conversations with them. I haven't really been friends with them, but I've actually known quite a few people that have had the anti beliefs. But yeah.
Well, there's a bunch of them in my Discord server, including one who's in the chat right now. I'm sure they'd love to talk with you sometime.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think the Gamergate conversation would have been more productive?
Conversation for Gamergate. If it would have been more productive, if I don't know if there could have been a way of it being productive because both sides had their hardline beliefs. Oh, and Sunita, is that her name? or his name,
Miss
or
Sonata, her name.
Miss Sonata. Yeah, there's a fail, not a win condition, but there is a fail condition for Tetris, and I think there is a win condition, but it's more of you failed type of thing. It's how far you could go with Tetris, kind of like yeah. But no, there's a like how far you could go with Pac-Man type of thing, but you could also fail at it. That's what I think when I think of games, but no, how do I put this? No, we didn't. I had some interaction with the antis, but after like the whole thing with Helicopter Guy originally, I like said, okay, I'm done with this crap. And yeah, how insane it got during that stream, I was like, okay, maybe I should dial it down a little bit. It was after that one stream that made me think, okay, if they're that crazy, how crazy have I been? And I knew I was crazy. So, like I said before, I was on the verge of being institutionalized. I never really told people that, but yeah, I was close. I was literally close just because of my stress levels and stuff. And I was freaking out over every little thing. When your stress jumps up and stuff and you're freaking out and you're panicking over things and your mother looks at you afraid you're going to get a heart attack and gives you an ultimatum that you have to go see a therapist, or not therapist, a therapist and psychiatrist, that or they're going to push for you to be institutionalized for a 2-week hold. Yeah, I had that. And I couldn't even imagine what these other people went through in their minds. If that was me going through my mind, I couldn't imagine what the other people were like. I know a lot of us had mental issues.
Yeah, and it's completely fine to talk about that. I think it's good that people talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Has your personal experience with this movement and with the mental health aspects that some of it brought to the surface, has that helped you better empathize with the anti-Gamergate people and some of the
Yeah,
stuff that
kind
they
of
went
it
through too?
does. You think about it and it's like, okay, what are they going through? Okay, if at first when I thought of it, I thought they were just the devil. They were just evil, like how people acted and stuff. You just think about like, oh, the other side is just pure evil in what they do. And then you come to think about it, wait a minute, were they actually as flawed as we were? And you look at that and it's like, oh, maybe they were just as flawed as we were. That's how I think of it. It's everyone had flaws in some way or another, no matter. Oh shit! Gotta get my mind together again. As you can tell, I have a lot of times when my mind separates from my mouth. Uh, 1 second here. The whole thing with the anti, just people's mindsets and stuff. You wonder if it's just like some pre-existing problems they had that they have never addressed yet, and then they look back at, and then it finally gets addressed, and they look back at it and they say, "Holy shit! What the hell was I thinking?" I always wanted to know how many of the antis actually thought that way, like looked back at it and say, "Holy shit! I side with some of those people that sent death and rape threats to some girls in Gamergate and things like that." I supported those people. Like you think back at things like that and you think, wait a minute, I actually was on a few streams with those people. I thought they were good people with some of these revolt or people like that. You'd look at associating yourself with people like that. It's a reflection on what you were when you were at your worst. So I would love to know what the antis were like.
Yeah, I did live streams too with some of the GG Revolt people, at least in the beginning. Obviously, later on, once it got off the rail, I mean, maybe it was always off the rails in Revolt. I don't know, but it seemed like there was like period of time for a few weeks where they at least pretended to be a bit more moderate, and then after that, they completely lost it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
It's
What do you
just a mental issue.
what do you think
It's
of? Oh, God.
Go right ahead.
What do you think of GG Revolt?
They're nutcases. Their hearts were in the right places, but their brains completely went off the ledge, just like my brain went off the ledge quite a few times. But I will still admit, I know I'm flawed. I know I was a lunatic back then. I know my mind wasn't in the right train of thought back then. And I look back at it and say, you shouldn't be acting this way. You should be a little bit more mature in how you act. Like, I was a lot more childish back when I was younger. Like, I can't explain it. Like when you have like the conditions I have, your brain is usually back by at least a good 5 years, and the maturity aspect of the whole thing. Just imagine that for some 24-year-old guy that first heard about Gamergate and then doesn't know how to handle the whole situation. A complete total amateur to the internet, or not the internet itself, but just doing like getting involved in causes like that. You're just a complete and total amateur, and you're not really prepared for it. Yeah, I've learned that one the hard way.
Yeah, with the exception of some of the people who were maybe involved with Occupy Wall Street, I don't know if any of us, or Black Lives
God,
Matter, I guess, started before Gamergate too. So except for like the people who were involved in those two causes, nobody really knew what they were doing. We were all amateurs.
yeah. Like you didn't know, like you always thought, like with Revolt and BLM, for instance. Like when I saw BLM, it's like the heart's in the right place type of thing. Same with the Revolt people. They thought they were doing the right thing originally, and then, well, a downward spiral hits. You always have a downward spiral with people, just because. Oh wait, they think, okay, this is our thoughts. Oh, we're going even further. Let's just continue going further down just so they can find something new to talk about. So they do this downward spiral when they, I don't know. It's kind of like one of my problems I've had with painkillers and stuff in the past. It's kind of when you have painkiller addiction, or dependency is a better word to describe what I had, but addiction, dependency, whatever you want to describe it. It's a step process. Like you're fine, like at first it's fine for you. You're okay with it, but then you need to take more and take more and take more because you gain an immunity to it. So it slowly starts rising up until it gets to a dangerous point. That's how I think of like the groups and stuff.
There's a framing that a lot of Gamergate people have that Gamergate was great, but GG Revolt, they were the real bad guys. And that's one that I've used before, and I think that that's like mostly true. I think there's a lot of truth in that at least. Uh,
Yeah, there is a lot of truth. People are lunatics. I'm just gonna say that we were all lunatics. Like if I got down to my extremist views, even though I was always moderate and I just got extreme because of the shit I saw from people. If I went extreme, could you imagine what people on like one of the extreme sides would do? Like it's just it's a pendulum, and it's a very dangerous pendulum at that.
is this framing though that I myself have used before, constantly actually? Is this framing about the GG Revolt people being the monsters? Is that really fair to them?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It just depends on their actions in the process. It has to be it's something to do with just how they are and stuff as people. It's sometimes they do good, few times they do good, but a lot of times you see nothing but bad from these people. It's the extreme parts of our group. You look back at it, and that's my thoughts. They were just extreme people that went a little extreme and stuff. And sometimes they did some things that are really bad. Sometimes they did things that were really good. That's how I look back at those groups. Like everyone has like good thoughts when they start their groups, but then it's like painkillers. It's a slow descent of, okay, we need to talk about this more and more and more, and it gets down to this downward spiral. And unless you have someone there to help you, so you don't, so they can pull you out of the spiral, it'll get worse. Like the addiction, for instance, of that I've been suffering most of the past few years. It's it could kill you if you don't handle it right. So I don't know the best way to describe me what would happen with revolters or the people that were too heavily spirited into their beliefs and they would push hard for it. I don't know about what I would consider that compared to like the addiction that could kill you. I don't know how I could compare it, but it's just it's a slow descent into madness. How about that?
Let's make it more positive. Let's talk about Not Your Shield. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh man, that's what literally made a lot of people, like a lot of the antis, lose their freaking minds. I remember that the Not Your Shield thing because it's like because these people when they tried portraying Gamergate in some way and they're like, no, we're gonna talk for all these minorities, and then the minorities that were in Gamergate, they're saying, you're not our shield. That's basically what Not Your Shield was supposed to be about. And don't get me wrong, we had a few sock puppets and fakers in there during the Gamergate days. I know that for a fact. I've seen them.
Allison Prime and
Allison Prime, Hope Still
yep.
Flies. And then there were devils in disguises like Mercedes Carrera. Like you look back at those things and you're like, holy crap. I can't believe we associated with people like that because you didn't know they were going to be that way. You didn't know what you were expecting.
The Mercedes Carrera thing. I don't know anything about this fucking case. But
She
James
was.
Desborough. Well, hey, I just want to. James Desborough yesterday or 2 days ago. Yes,
Mhm,
yesterday was saying that she's that it's still pending trial and that there might be more to that story than we initially all thought. But like, who the fuck
mhm.
knows, man? I don't know.
But I mean, when you think of things like that, you could think of, well, the person that seems so good right now, they could be a monster next day and you didn't even know about it. Like a lot of people in Hollywood, you think they are good people, but then you find out the monsters they really are. Or like in your neighborhood, you find out that there's that people are good and you think they're like the epitome of morality, and then you find out, wait a minute, they're this or that. I'm not going to say the names of what they are, but you think about it and you're like, wait a minute, they were that kind of monster, the monster that they said they weren't. It's just one of those situations.
Why do you think some websites banned discussion of Gamergate?
uh Probably because a lot of them were in the anti side of it. Usually that's where the way I would describe it. It's just majority of them are usually antis. But yeah, I just it's a memory that I've been trying to avoid Gamergate for a long time now. I mean, I'm talking about it now because I'm letting it all out because of well, my history with it and stuff. But looking back at it, when your mindset changes, your everything changes. You look back at it as being just stupid. I know I keep saying that, but I mean it. It's stupid when you think about it. Everything you fought for was just idiotic. And then when you get treated for the problems you have and you look back, you're like, what the hell was I thinking? And everybody thinks that way. Like everybody are still haunted to this days of idiot decisions they make when they were children, or not children, when they were young adults. A lot of us have. And I know that for a fact because I know quite a few people that say that. It's like, why did I do those? Why did I make those mistakes? A lot of them, I'm still paying the price for a lot of them today.
Has
That's
this
how I think of it.
has this been helpful for you talking about it after all these years?
Oh, yeah. It still haunts me to this day, but yeah, I could talk about it and stuff. I've been like during streams and stuff, we're talking with people that were in it. We all talk about it. We're like, man, we were lunatics back then. Man, we weren't thinking. Man, our minds weren't on. Man, our heads weren't screwed on right. I look back at things like that, but that's just that.
Why do you think some people claimed that Gamergate was about harassment or hating women?
because it all started with the Zoe Quinn thing. As we all know, the Five Guys burgers and fries bull crap that first started, and we all found out about that. But this is one thing they never say. She's been notorious in the past with a lot of shit other than just the controversy she was originally in. She made up lies in the past and stuff. So, like I said, it was a slow fuse that was ready to explode. It was like a slow buildup of powder, and there's going to be one fuse that was going to happen. And it was that post, I think it was Aaron Joni that posted about her infidelity and things like that. And the poor guy went to jail for I don't know how long.
Wait, did he go to jail or did he
Oh,
have like
he
a
went to
lawsuit?
jail. No, he went to jail for like I don't know how long because she pulled this bullshit in the court case, and then she finally stopped it after a while. But I mean, it was horrific what she did to him. Not only did she throw him through a lot of shit and stuff, she lied about a lot of things. She even led a man to suicide with their lies. Like
Allegedly.
allegedly, yes. But I'm just saying, an innocent person lost their lives allegedly. Is how I put it. I know that's allegedly, but ugh, that was the point when I look back at it. I'm like, yeah, it seemed right fighting against these people, but damn, you look back at it and stuff. But she was a problem causer all the time. She said people didn't like my games because of this or that, and she faked a bunch of things. That's what the building of the powder cake was. She was faking a lot of things, and then it just exploded. I think it was Depression Quest. Was that what she made?
Yeah.
Okay, it was Depression Quest. She caused a lot of controversy about that. It's like and I know a lot of people that said this. It's Review Tech USA famously said this about the harassment. He's like, if this is false and you brought your movement back, if I'm hoping what's going on here is true, because if you're lying about this, you will bring your movement back by 100 years, is basically, I think, how Review Tech USA put it, because he's like, I don't know if there are losers because I've seen those losers before. Yeah, I remember that one.
Do you think people did
People,
harass? Go ahead. You can finish.
there are people that harass everybody in general. There are internet trolls everywhere. We all know that. There's some fringe lunatics. That will never change. You will never let the internet is a way for crazy people to show their true colors.
You said that for you, GamerGate was mostly about ethics in games journalism. So why do you care that much if Zoe Quinn does bad things?
Because what she was doing was the problem that she did was when she was with the game journalist and he was writing an article about her. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Isn't that the games journalist's fault though, not hers?
Yes, it is his fault. I mean, and this is something we all said at one time. She could have been a hero to everyone if she would have said, yeah, this happens. Sometimes we have to do things like this in order to get exposure. She would have done that. There would have been no way in hell. She had a chance to say those words and say, yes, a lot of women that are game developers have to do things like this. If she would have said it like that, everything would have been back on this guy who was part of the controversy, not her. But I mean, though, it's how everything was executed. It was just like I said, it was a slow powder cake that started back in the mid 2000s, I think. Wasn't that when Canon Lynch came out, or was it 2008, 2009?
Let me look real quick.
Because that's
2007.
when 2007. That's when when they started putting powder cakes in. They were putting the powder cakes up. Is right around that time. That's when the first controversy happened. I mean, there was controversy long before, like Night Trap and all the controversy that kicked up, the Senate hearings and stuff. But it was a slow build up, and it was gonna explode no matter what. even if it wasn't Zoe Quinn that did it, it's kind of like World War One. It was a slow buildup of tension, and someone cut the wire. Basically, an assassination led to World War One. A stupid thing about Zoe Quinn led to GamerGate because of it being involved with the journalist that wrote an article about her around the time of the said affair.
Some people who disagree with Gamergate say that the real Gamergate was the people who wanted to harass her and like they just duped, or the people who cared about ethics or creative freedom and stuff like that, or even just culture war bullshit, that those people were basically just dupes for the people who really wanted to fuck with her.
Uh, there's going to be trolls everywhere. I'm going to say that. There's trolls everywhere. No matter what, there's going to be trolls, and you have to learn how to handle it. But what she did, her actions, the actions and what she did was not good. And it wasn't just people that wanted to troll her and stuff, because originally most of us thought of we're not even going to get involved with this. Like, that's for the longest time. That's how I viewed Sarkeesian. It's just, okay, it's just someone putting her opinion out there. It's nothing new. And that's how I always was. And then I saw, because I used to follow Kotaku, and I'm like, why are they acting this way? What is going on? That's what really I've heard about it from Monday Mountain Review Tech USA originally, but then I was like, okay, so what? And then I heard Kotaku kept running their mouths, and I'm like, guys, I don't want to hear that. Please talk about what you guys are being paid to talk about, not stupid shit like this. That was me. I was like, okay, I'm done talking about this shit. Please talk about something good for a change.
Do you
Or
think
talk about something different for a change. But no, the games journalist wouldn't shut up about Gamergate, and that's what irritated me the most.
you discussed earlier, and we don't have to dive into this at all if you don't want to. If you don't feel comfortable talking about it, or just like, hey, look, I'm running out of time. We don't have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an argument that people, because they were mad about the stuff in gaming, the corruption, the censorship, whatever, or maybe just like Anita Sarkeesian's opinions, that they became radicalized. And you talked a bit about your own experience, how you were getting angry about this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't a healthy path to go down for you.
Oh no.
So do you how do you think about that in relation to Gamergate? That radicalization or that anger.
Oh, it's bad in my opinion. Personally, I did not like what happened after a while. I mean, when it first came out, a lot of us were just like, okay, what the hell? For me, for instance, personally, it was, what the hell are you talking about, Kotaku? What the hell are you talking about, Polygon? You're trying to paint everyone like this, and it's like, no, we're not like this. And that's what drove me into it originally, was just sick and tired of hearing the bullshit that Kotaku and Polygon trade painting us as. It was just a slow buildup of stuff like that that just slowly started piling up on each other until it exploded, like the powder keg, like I always say. There's a powder keg.
So you think a lot of it was the way that they talked about Gamergate and said things that you felt were untrue?
Yeah, big time. Like the whole thing. Remember Stop Gamergate 2014?
I
Remember
wasn't
that?
around back then, but I've heard of the
Oh, I
hashtag.
mean, what happened was Sarkeesian was supposed to give a debate at a college. I forgot where, Utah or something like that. I'm not sure where, but she was given, like, not a debate, but a panel that she was going to handle and do a discussion with people. And then some idiot said, I'm going to send a threat, like I think it was a bomb threat or a shooting threat. Forgot which one it was, but it was a threat that they were going to hurt a lot of people if she was there. And what did it do? It gave those people that hated Gamergate ammunition to go after most of us. Are like, wait a minute, we're not like that. What are you guys talking about? We don't say that stuff. But it was just a slow build up, and it was a shit. It was a dumpster fire for GamerGate during the GamerGate times, where it was like, I can't describe it. It was just a dumpster fire altogether.
How important was it to you that bad actors were condemned?
I mean, yeah, bad actors had to be condemned. I I'm not going to side with people that are complete total mess ups. I'm not going to side with screwed up people. That would be wrong. So yeah, I stand with the bad actor should be condemned. That's my thought as well. Like the bad actor should be condemned, but I'm gonna charge her. But no, it was just there was a lot of issues, and I remember hearing about it. People were trying to find who sent that threat. I remember that one as well. And I think Mr. Repsion was targeted by the FBI because of that. I think that's the one.
To be clear, he didn't do it. I don't think.
I know he
It was someone
didn't,
fucking with
but
him.
it was, and the FBI had to take it, which is 100% understandable. I have family and friends who or some family that are in the FBI and friends who've worked with them before. So I understand they have to take it seriously because it's their job to take something like that seriously. Because that's something you cannot you cannot just push aside. So I understand the investigations, but I mean, though, a lot of, how do I put this? A lot of, just a lot of shit was thrown in every way. I wouldn't even want to be the FBI agents assigned to this case because of all the shit they had to look through. It's like, oh, hey, this was said. Oh, wait, no, this was a lie. Okay, this person said this. And no, wait, that's true. This is not true. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back of fake doxing. I think there was a GamerGate meetup in DC. Do you remember that one?
I didn't go to that one, but Christina Hoff Sommers told me about it, and I knew about it at the time.
Oh yeah, there was this thing that happened there, and they were all together and stuff, and they wanted to do a big meetup. All of them were there. Everyone was there, and then suddenly they had a bomb threat, and it was soon after what Arthur Chu posted. It ends tonight, and oh man, the memes of that idiot.
Oh, no, to clarify, there may have been a bomb threat at the DC meetup, but that was a separate bomb threat
No,
from the
I'm
one at SPJ Airplay where Arthur Chu made
yeah,
the tweet.
no, it was no. He said it during that event. I remember that because we were talking about it. We had a voice chat up, and we were talking about things like that. We're like, "Oh, they're doing this thing. Let's look up." And we're just randomly talking about the images that they were posting. I forgot who it was. That's how long ago it's been. And then like Arthur, she was annoyed that they were having this get together, that they were having this party with a bunch of the pros that are all together. And he's like, this ends tonight. He posted that one, and we're like, what the hell do you mean by that, man? And then we find out later on that a bomb threat. We don't think he did it, but I wonder, I wouldn't have been surprised if he had a knock at the door because of that line, because they were like less than a mile away from the White House where that venue was.
Arthur,
And then there was
are you
go ahead.
sure? Are you sure it wasn't the
No,
SPJ Airplay?
no, it was because this happened before Airplay. This happened like a couple months, like 5 months before Airplay, I think, where it was just they did not like the idea of Gamergate getting together and talking like that, meeting each other in person. He's like, it ends tonight is what he said. That's what he meant by when it ends tonight. And it was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And we're like, did he just call in a bomb threat? Like, we were like, wait, did he just call in a bomb threat? And we were looking at like, there was probably some fringe lunatic that did it, but it happened like slightly after when he said it ends tonight. Like, I don't know what happened. I I wasn't the investigator of the thing or anything like that, so I don't know who said it. I'm not going to accuse him of it because we're not sure. We're not sure who's saying what, but it happened during that event, and they all had to evacuate out of the building at that time. And the event organizer says, "I might not have the same. I do not. I do not agree with things like this. This is not something that should happen. No matter how much they disagree with you, they should not be dating threats like this." And it was that point where they became they accused us of doing the things that they just did. That was the moment we realized they're basically portraying, they're basically amplifying their own problems onto other people. I thought it was, yeah.
Do you
I
think
can't.
most? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you think do you think most GamerGate people did a good job condemning harassment?
Oh yeah, we all did. I mean, most of us did. How about that? Like we said, like it's like you might, if you want to criticize a person, but don't jump on their group, and don't jump on their and just insult them for every little thing they had. Just don't try to just don't go overboard is how I thought of it. And these people went beyond overboard. A lot of people did. Like when it's just what happens when the extreme pendulum shifts one side, or when the extremist of the far of one side of a group just starts. Yeah, it's just what happens when the extreme groups come out. They say stupid shit.
If you saw someone on your side, quote unquote, doing something you thought was bad, like engaging in harassment, what would you do?
Do what I did with two of them. I'm not going to give names or anything, but I literally condemned two people in the pro side that I've seen do it, harass a 14-year-old boy because he says, "I don't think what you're doing is right." And then they went to you're fat, jokes or stuff like that. And it's like, dude, you're no different than they are. You're no different than the opposition is. And it was like, that was like one of the moments of when I realized, okay, these people are extreme. I'm not going to name them by name or anything because I don't want to give them any attention, but they bullied and harassed a 14-year-old boy that was in our group. And they actually, instead of criticizing him for things he said, they just went to fatty jokes. Yeah. I have criticized our own people.
You don't have to answer or talk about it, but
I
did you
know, but I'm just
Oh, so I was about to ask you a question, sorry.
go right ahead.
You don't have to answer or talk about it, but did you receive any harassment during Gamergate? From either
Not
side
really,
or from
no.
trolls?
Not really. I've never faced it. I've seen it happen to other people. I've known it happen to other people. I've been trolled a few times by the people I've condemned for their actions against a 14-year-old boy and what they said to him. Yeah, I faced backlash from those two people, but I've never faced it from the SJWs. We might have had a few disagreements, but never faced it. And I will say that I've never faced the type of harassment that these other people have. And I'll admit that. I've never faced harassment, but I understand how it could affect people.
Why do you think the media largely didn't cover harassment against Gamergate supporters?
It's the same way they were talking. They wanted. I forgot her name and stuff, but there's one girl that ABC News took videos from her live stream and stuff about losers just saying just dumb things and stuff like that, and her posting it saying, "Yeah, this happens a lot to me as well." And we all know these people because we played games with these losers before. Trust me, I know. I played like a lot of like either Gary's mod games and stuff like that, and just seeing what these losers say and stuff. yeah, they exist and stuff, but what happened was she said to ABC News, that's not what it was about. It wasn't about misogynists harassing me. It was about just me dealing with these idiots. And that's what she said. And you know what ABC said in the process? I think it was ABC. I'm not sure. Don't praise me there by saying this, but it was they said this word right here. It's not part of our narrative. And that's why I think of what the media is trying to do. Why the whole thing with Gamergate is the way that it is. Because they don't want it to be part of their narrative.
Do you have any thoughts on? Do you remember Zack Attack?
Oh, where they thought what was her name? Base Mom, I think.
No,
No.
Mombot.
Mombot, that's it. They thought her name was Zach and it really wasn't. And she literally set a trap up for these idiots. I remember that. Literally exposed the doxers right there. That was like one of the funniest things I've ever seen in GG, was when they actually exposed the doxers.
Do you remember the term sea lioning being used to describe Gamergate people? And what do you think of that term?
I forgot about that term. I remember hearing it, but I forgot about it.
Do you want me to bring it up for you, or do you just want to move on?
Sure, go right ahead. I forgot about it. That's how long ago it's been.
I'll describe in brief. Basically, it's the idea that someone makes a public statement in a public
Mhm.
forum, someone else overhears that statement and politely disagrees, but they are very insistent in their disagreement.
Mm. Lame. I mean, there are some idiots, but I remember hearing the word sea lion, but I never understood what it meant. Personally, it wasn't something I always thought of.
You've already hinted at this a little bit, but what do you think about how the media covered Gamergate?
Man, you knew what side they took. You knew the side. You could tell the whole Gamer Journals pros thing. You knew which ones were Game Journals pros when you saw when they said the same exact things about Gamergate. It was just they all repeated each other. Just like recently, they were doing this thing about them talking about the news stations not producing fake news, like different channels from all over. And I knew one of my local stations said this as well. And it was just everyone, they were repeating the same words. It wasn't even like they were talking on their own, like giving their own description. They were reading the same lines from everyone else, and they were expecting nobody to fact check that. It's kind of like that. It was a blanketed statement for all the media to say, and I mean. Yeah, that's basically what it was. And I remember someone saying this. Gamergate lost the PR war because of the game journalist, is basically what someone said to me. But they won people over, but they lost a PR war with the public, the journalists themselves, which is true.
Do
And
you
whenever someone would give a moderate opinion about Gamergate, they would have the worst things said to them. Like, yeah, go ahead.
did you contact any journalists or media outlets to correct
No,
misinformation about Gamergate?
no, because I just didn't want to handle it personally.
Did any
I was
journalists
just
re- Oh, good.
no, I mean, there are a few game journalists out there, a couple people I knew and stuff, but they were already in the GG sphere as it was. So it wasn't like they were taking they knew what our opinions were and stuff. So it wasn't like, personally, I found it to be pointless to argue with those people because they were all going to say the same thing. It was like a hive mind. The media is still like a hive mind, determining on what they determining. There's like 2 or 3 different hive minds going on in the media right now, like the media system, like different opinions, but they're still hive minds, in my opinion, because they use the same words, they use the same exact talking points and everything else. It's a hive mind.
And they never, they, They never reached out to you to talk about GamerGate either. The media didn't.
Nope. I'm kind of glad they didn't, because of how I was back then compared to how I am right now. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they didn't talk about me back then.
Why do you think they didn't try to reach out to you or to
I don't
somebody
know,
else for comment?
because I wasn't that high profile. If anything, only a few people know who I was. I wasn't a high profile YouTuber. I probably had a subscriber base of probably 100 subscribers at the time. I wasn't high profile. I was just on Android all streams. I made a few pro GamerGate tweets, but that was about it. I wasn't one of the high profile ones that they would try to get a contact out of. Even if I would have been on some of the larger streams, I've been on with Sargon and Akkad and people like them. I've been on those streams before, but I wasn't high profile enough. Heck, like the original person, it was funny because Chris Raygun used to be in our group on our streams. You'd find that one hard to believe, but yeah, he was in that as well. Everyone got their start out in this area. Some became famous, others didn't. And I'm kind of glad I didn't get that type of attention put on me, personally.
Did the media's coverage of GamerGate decrease or increase your trust in it?
Uh, Definitely decreased it because I knew what was actually going on and stuff. I knew that a lot of that stuff was taken by fringe lunatics, not actual people that supported it. So they took it would be like this. If they wanted to get, if there's like an area, a neighborhood they did not like, and the media did, and they found this event that happened, who would they pick? Would they pick the guy that saw everything, that has a good set hold on reality, that has college educated or has been part of like public relations with the community that they don't like? Or would they find the nearest drug addict and have them say whatever hinge or mental nutcase that they would have say the hinge things? That's what the media basically did. They didn't talk about the people that wanted to actually talk about it. They looked for the hinge lunatics. I think remember how David Pakman did like the first interviews and he did the second one? There was this guy we never heard of, and he tried saying we were all like this. I'm like, who
Yeah,
the hell is this guy?
let's not say his name because he's like a crazy lunatic.
I'm not.
But
I'm not going to say it.
yeah, he was a scam artist or something, dude. No one even
Yeah.
heard of this guy.
I know, and I was like, wait a minute, and that's what always got me about that. How like they handled like these neighborhoods. They wanted to do whatever they wanted to do to the neighborhoods by trying to disavow these neighborhoods by saying, oh, they're just this type of person and stuff. It's something the media's been doing for a very long time. They try to pick the fringe nutcase out of the group and interview him. That's why I didn't even try seeking out interviews, because my mind wasn't all there.
But to be fair, though, I think David Pakman mostly did a good job. Now, why he interviewed this one weird lunatic,
Yeah.
who didn't even support GamerGate, or like I think he might have tweeted about it like once. And then I think I saw him like once or twice on like, maybe ever, and that was
Mm-hmm.
well after the interview. That was years later. I saw his because he did the rabid puppies thing or whatever, but that was completely unrelated to GG. But yeah, it's like no one knew who the fuck this guy was. So why the
Yeah.
I guess what David Pakman was trying to do, because I do think David Pakman is like generally good faith. I get
Mm-hmm.
what he was trying to do is be like, okay, I've interviewed a bunch of people. They all seem like normal gamers. I gotta throw at least one crazy guy in there, that even if
Mm-hmm.
no one knows who he is, just so I can like do my due diligence and interview. Like I'm interviewing Pterodax, the troll.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm interviewing him. So
Oh,
like I'm doing the same thing. Now is somebody gonna read my interview and be like, oh my god, Pterodax, he's interviewing
you
Gamer
learn.
Gators were all troll. Of course, this guy Pterodax didn't even support GamerGate. Um,
No, he's a. Oh man, I can't even
but
describe it.
I'm interviewing him because he's part of the story, and I feel like I need to do my due diligence, and I also think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be interesting to hear, why did he do this sort of thing? What's the reason behind the mindset? that leads you to be like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck with everybody just for fun. Like, what's the culture that leads to that? It's worth exploring.
Yeah, I know it is. It's like it's a good how do I put this? It's good to look into people like that and say, oh hey, these people are how do I put this again? How I say this? It's just uh looking at those groups and stuff, and you're thinking, what the ugh. Those people have caused a lot of trouble, like in our Discord groups and stuff. I can't tell you how many times we've had to ban people like that. It was really Skype that he screwed up, our Skype group that he screwed up, but he did a lot of damage to our groups. Like he kept bringing random people in just so he could, just because he wanted a good laugh or two. Like, yeah, Pterodax did a lot of damage.
Well, he fucked with Lord Nurgle's in the chat right now. He fucked with him. Was he the guy who pulled his pants down and masturbated on stream, or was that somebody else?
Uh, Masturbated.
Oh, you don't remember that? Oh, I remember that. I was either
Oh,
watching the
it's
stream or on the
compulsive.
stream. I think I might have been on it. I don't know.
God damn it, Urgal. I'm not a. Okay, fine. It's a joke he always called me. But I don't remember that.
Or
I
he didn't masturbate. I'm sorry, but he did. Someone pulled their pants down and forced, which of course forced the video to be taken down from YouTube because they don't allow that.
was that
On stream, somebody did. One of the trolls. I don't know who it
being a
was.
poll? No, it wasn't poll. It was someone else.
No,
I forgot who it was.
it was some troll. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, we've had issues like that before. Like me and JT did streams and stuff. This little idiot would put on illegal pornography, and I'm just saying it like that. I'm not saying what it was. Some idiot kid put that up, and we had to take it down and and delete the video because some little idiot kid decided they were going to do that. Like a 15-year-old kid thought that would have been funny. Like we've learned our lesson the hard way of vetting people. You have to learn how to vet people.
If a
Oh, okay. Max Sands brought Pterodax into our group and he started dropping. Oh, yes.
the N word,
Okay.
and
Max Sand brought him in. He kept saying the N word everywhere and stuff. And yeah, we had to literally change out a whole Skype group for that.
Yeah,
I
there
remember
was.
that.
I'm aware of that story, but there was another one, I swear, where somebody did pull their pants down and show off their member. But I don't know who it was. So this
It
was
wasn't our group, I don't think. It wasn't in the GamerGate Insanity / Stream of
no.
Corruption
It might have been
groups.
a different. It might have been a different.
It
There
was
were
on a
so many
live stream.
streamers.
Okay. It was on a live stream. I don't think it was our Snorkel, but I don't remember it being ours.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've dealt with trolls like that before, and the yeah, that's why you have to vet people that are going to join your Discord, or not join, but you have to have you have to put out your rules for Discord and stuff, or you have to vet people that you want to interview or stream. They all used to invade Sargon's old GG streams.
If a journalist who got GamerGate wrong, in your view, is reading this now, what do you want them to reconsider?
Just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, I, just look back at what you said in the past. And that's how I say about myself. Just look back at what you said in the past. Look back and see, were you right about them or were you wrong about them? You just have to look at that. You can't just say, oh, I can't explain it. I don't even know how I could put the words in. The game journalist. Yeah, it was our Discord. A lot of checks and balances to catch trolls. Yeah, we had to have a lot of checks and balances. We learned our lesson the hard way. Thank God Discord has better control than Skype does, where you could control things better. But no, what you want to get a journalist to think? What I would say is just look back on what you were back in the old days and stuff. Back in 2014, 2015, were you right in the head around that time? Or do you still think that same way as you did back then? Do you still think that way? And if you do, then that's, then that's your opinion. But if not, I would love to know what you thought that should be different. That's what I think about it. Like what you think that should be different, what the other people are saying. That's what I want to know.
What do you think the media can learn about how they covered Gamergate, or learn from how they covered Gamergate to do better in the future?
Don't take things. Don't run with articles instantly. Do some checks and balances before you post something. Don't just like say, "Oh, this happened. Let's jump down this throat," when it was really just some lunatic. Like uh like during the Gamergate nights, and I remember Nurgle and I, we were joking about this when it happened during the Gamergate meetup, that Arthur Chu says it ends tonight. Yeah, Nurgle, tell us that one, because I don't think Tachyon remembers that one, but he said that night, it ends tonight. We're like, he wouldn't have called that, and it was probably some hinge troll that did it. We all thought that. We're like, Arthur Chu didn't do that. And that's why I thought it was we thought, oh, it would have been, oh, like, what the hell was he thinking when he said it ends tonight? Then a bomb threat for a building that was within a mile of the White House happened, which is stupid. Either way, even calling a bomb threat in is stupid, but extra stupid where you have it, the threat go to, because the FBI will definitely be looking into this. I wouldn't be surprised if they found the person that did it. But no, when you look back at that kind of stuff, you think, I want to know what they think today, what they think their mindset is today.
I reached out to Stephen Totillo of Kotaku, the
Mhm.
editor-in-chief,
Yeah.
but he declined to participate.
Okay.
That would have been a good opportunity to hear what they think now. At least
Hmm.
him.
Yeah, I would like to know all their mindsets are. I could, who was it that would find everybody and block them for no reason?
Oh, Randy Harper's Blockbot, the
No,
blacklist.
I mean, yeah, that was the only one I was put on, was a block bot. I remember a couple of celebrities had me blocked. I'm like, I never had any interaction with you people. And then you look, oh, they used the auto blocker. And I don't even think they knew what the auto blocker was. That it wasn't even like the auto blocker was this like carpet bombing instead of precision bombing of going after people you don't like and just say, okay, these are the bad people. No, it was, okay, if they follow someone who follows another person, follows that person, they're on the auto blocker. It was like dropping a nuke. It was like dropping a nuke to destroy a uh, to destroy a shed, basically. Trying to use a nuke to destroy a shed is the best way I could describe the auto blocker.
Have
If
you
they
seen?
wanted to create a blocker, so be it. They could have created a blocker, but of how it was programmed, it was like the atheism. It was the same as the atheism plus one. It was just like a dropping a nuke on a shed to destroy a shed.
Have you seen the Gamergate Wikipedia article, and do you have any thoughts on it?
Never really looked at it. I remember seeing it one time, but I have a feeling I know what it's like. Harassment campaign. That's what they put it as.
Unfortunately,
2014. Yeah. Victims Zoe Quinn, Anita Sarkeesian, Brianna Wu. Internet trolls. Misogyny, anti-feminist, anti-progressive. Yeah, yeah, that definitely was. Yeah, Zoe Quinn, you're definitely the one that got harassed. You're definitely not the one that was thrown in jail for a few months for no reason, just because you didn't want their voice to be heard, and you had some stupid legal loophole to throw an innocent person in jail. I I do not need to tell you how much I despise that woman. She is she is probably, I mean, Sarkeesian is one thing. Brianna Wu has changed over the years, and I'm fine with that. But there's one person I would never forgive for the action she did. That'd be Zoe Quinn. Everyone else, I'll be willing to talk to, but I refuse to talk to that woman.
do you think that she can change and become a better person?
she could try to change to become a better person, but the damage is already done with what she did. She already did enough damage. That woman. Ugh. The things I've seen her do, the things I've seen, the actions of what she did, there is no way she's redeemable. Like I said about like the one of the developers I talked about earlier that did some really messed up things. He did something that wasn't redeemable. Mercedes Crera did something that wasn't really redeemable. Like there's a point where you have to look at and say, was it just stupid thoughts that you had in the past, or you actually harmed someone? You actually caused harm to people. It has to come down to that. Did you actually harm someone in real life? Did you actually cause some mental anguish in real life? Did you actually lead to them to be arrested or push them to do other extreme things to themselves? Like, did you do that? If you did that, then no, you're not redeemable, in my opinion.
Would you like to see the media narrative on GamerGate change to be more neutral or positive?
I would like them to come around and look at it like, hey, yeah, because hey, yeah, I guess it didn't change. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole things about Zoe Quinn were to change. If like they would have said, as far as wait a second, Miracle just posted something. As far as we know, ATM Mercedes really did do something effed up, but it wasn't a GG thing. Yeah, what she did was something else. She didn't do anything related to GG or anything like that. But yeah, and she hurt someone. She hurt someone. She actually hurt someone in real life. She
Allegedly,
actually hurt
allegedly. She still hasn't
allegedly,
been
but
convicted yet.
I
So
know allegedly, but I mean though, as far as I know, I won't have anything to do with people like that. I've learned my lesson from being around people like that. Yeah, currently right now, I I've known people even around my town that have done really messed up things that I have I have refused to have anything to do with them. If you've actually harmed someone in real life, and I mean harm someone, like went out of your way to cause trouble with them just so you could push your own narrative, like Quinn did with that one poor guy, and which led him to yeah, I'm not going to slide what happened. Look up yourself of what she did back in 2018, 2019 or 2019, I think is when it happened. Just look it up yourself. It, it will be something where you will lose your faith in humanity with what she did.
Leon, I know we've talked a lot about this, but I ask everybody this question. Obviously, from our perspective, the media didn't even tell our story. They just ran with a completely one-sided thing. Has this one-sided narrative about us being harassers and misogynists impacted your conscious experience as a person in a negative
Uh,
way?
no, not really. I mean, it didn't really affect me negatively. It showed me what the world was really like. It gave me a view of how the world really acted. It gave me a look into how corrupt people could be. And and the reason why the media went on Sarkeesian and Quinton's side was because, like I said before, you talked about the pros thing. They're a hive mind. Of course, they're going to side with them. Of course, most of these media, like depending on the type of political belief or whatever they want to push for, what depending on what they want to push for, it's a hive mind. Like heck, the social credit score is a hive mind. Heck, whatever Fox News or whatever is a hive mind with their groups. Like it's just a hive mind, in my opinion. They focus on this one thing and they're like, okay, we're all going at this at once. That's why you see all these articles jump out of the corner as immediately as they do. It's almost immediate that all of them post at the same time. It's like, wait a minute, you don't have time to write about that if they saw it come out at that time. You don't have time for that. And that's what made me realize they were a hive mind. Like it was like right around the time the bomb threat happened with Sarkeesian, or the mass killing threat that happened with Sarkeesian. It it affected it came out all at once. I'm like, how the hell did they get it out that fast? It's like they all put the article out at the same time, and then you realize, you look at the pros thing, it's like, holy crap, they're colluding with each other. And my suspicions about the media was correct. They are a hive mind.
Well, hey,
No matter what,
Go ahead.
no matter what, they'll think like they do.
We're nearing the end here. Time for some light items. What's
Okay,
your favorite video game?
what series style? What,
Whatever you want it to be.
like we're talking about this combat earlier, that has always been one that I've always been competitive in and stuff. Even though it was a single player game for many years, I was always like trying to best myself with times and stuff like GoldenEye or Super Mario or no, Mario 64 speedrunners would do. I've done that with that game quite a few times. I didn't even know there was a speed running scene for that game for years until just recently, as of a few years ago. That's one I've been heavily playing. I play a lot of open world games like Mass Effect Andromeda right now. And after I finish this one, I'm going into the remastered trilogy. Since yeah, it's one of those, it's like a high failure point for those games as well, like I talked about, like they talked about that but yeah, I'm diverse when it comes to video games. I'll play whatever is good. If it's well made. I was never a Harry Potter fan when I was growing up. Never liked it. But then when I saw Hogwarts Legacy, I gave it a try. Assassin's Creed, I never gave it a thought originally, but then I played Brotherhood and I actually fell in love with the series. It's just you have to open your mind up to different games.
Did
I
you
don't know what else.
attend? Oh, sorry.
Go right ahead.
Did you attend a GamerGate meetup?
Never. Nobody knows what I even look like. I yeah, they always did the joke of, even if I joined a meetup, I should just be hiding behind a curtain. Just yeah, that's what Ergo always said. But other than that, no, I've never attended a meetup whatsoever. I was going to it one time, but yeah, I I decided against doing something like that.
Do you want to talk about the friendships you made during GamerGate?
There was a group that we came out with, Nurgle's group that I was in. Yeah, we grew up a friendship through that. If you've ever seen his Discord group, all of us are still there. Me, Nurgle, Lisa, as you could see in there, Ralts, uh, Ramen, a bunch of us are still there. Mildra, I think JT is there still. I haven't seen him much in streams lately, but he's still there. Uh, yeah, a lot of us are still there. Like a lot of us still are, and we still have our group together. But I think like, oh, and there was one more person I could talk about from GamerGate days, Ralph. Man, the
What a
shit he did. I'm just saying the shit he did. Yeah, but back to the friends I made and stuff. Yeah, we're still in a group and stuff. We still talk about that kind of shit, but we had to make a Discord group, or like a Discord chat for like talking about political things or talking about SJW things. We have two different Speaker Square and uh SJW decompression where we talk about that stuff. But that's for those areas. We don't talk about it in our main areas or not. We've learned that one the hard way of what happens when people get too pushy on the whole political side of things. So we've avoided that.
Do you have any thoughts on Vivian James or GamerGate related art projects?
Yeah, Vivian James was an okay art project and stuff. I didn't have a problem with it, but never really thought about it much. I mean, it was a good representation of what a girl gamer was, but I mean, other than that, I never had much of a thought about the art projects. I saw them, but I never really.
What was your favorite moment during GamerGate?
Favorite moment? Favorite moment. Personally, I don't really have a favorite moment. It was just the favorite moments I had was watching finally having enough with that crap and then just watching the crazy people run their mouths. That was my favorite moment. Just like saying, "Okay, I'm done with this now. Only the lunatics are here. I'm not going to be a lunatic anymore. I'm on my meds now." I mean, it was when I left it because most of us normal people decided, okay, this ran its course. We're done with this.
Would you be shocked to learn? Actually, you probably wouldn't be shocked to learn, but I kept going until 2018, early 2018.
I'm not surprised.
I
I
felt like
mean,
I was the last one left, though. There were only like a handful of us still around. Like,
I'm not shocked. I mean, some people stayed till 2018, which is fine. We stopped at 2016 and stuff. We knew people that were doing it in 2017. Heck, we saw people doing it in 2019 still. The whole body count thing that happened in 2019, we it had a small revival, but
body
okay,
count thing?
it, Quinn was what she did in 2019.
I don't know anything about this.
Trust me, Zoe Quinn body count type of thing. Just look that up and you'll see what I'm talking about in 2019, 2018, 2019 when she pulled that shit. It's horrific when you see it, and you'll understand why I despise that woman.
Well,
But
I don't
no,
like what she did with Tim Saray,
which one was that one again?
the game developer
Lied
who
about?
her and her supporters and her kind of went after his game was revealed
Hmm.
at some conference.
Hmm.
I don't remember all the details now, but some conference, and she says she was tweeting about how he was her harasser because he tweeted out in support of GamerGate like one time actually. It was
Yeah.
like one or two tweets he made about
Yeah.
being pro GamerGate because he's gay and they tried to go after him and destroy his life.
Oh yeah.
Even if she personally was just saying, "Hey, look, he's my harasser," which wasn't true.
I know.
That's a lie. That's a lie. So one, that's already immoral. But two, once she saw that her supporters were going after him, she should have said, "Hey, wait, no, look, don't go after this guy." If she had any
Yeah.
morals at all.
And she just broke one of her own rules. You're responsible for your fans. She said that quite a few times. You're responsible for your own people. So you know what? Oh yeah, she made it. Oh yeah, but yeah, she Animal Hookla thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what that one is. You have to look it up. It's really messed up. She did a lot of horrible things. She is one of the worst hypocrites I've ever seen in video game history. She is probably the biggest hypocrite I've ever known of recent. That she's like, I'm the victim, and yet she's the one that keeps causing the issues. But you know what? I personally, in my opinion, she's a monster, and that's how I'll view her, as a monster.
If you could change one thing about GamerGate, what would it be?
I don't think there's anything I could change, no matter what. Even if you wanted to change it, you wouldn't have been able to. It's like, oh, if I was at this time in history, I would have been able to change it. No, you wouldn't have. No matter what, you would still be part of the problem. So, no, there's no way I think I could have done anything to change Gamergate. No matter what, I would have been less insane. I would have listened to my mom and gotten to see a psychiatrist about my pre-existing issue mental health issues. Yeah, I would have done that. I would have pushed for that stuff, but that would have been the only thing. I would have changed the things I was going through, not the things that Gamergate was going through, just my own issues.
What would you personally? Well, do you have any? You don't have to answer this because we've already kind of gone over it, but I'll just skip this question. It's fine.
Okay. Any others?
Yeah, there's a few left, and then there's only like just a handful left. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's 10 years from now, and an online movement is looking to Gamergate, Black Lives Matter, and Occupy Wall Street for guidance for their movement. What advice do you have for them?
Back off, run away, run away. Trust me, it is not worth it to lose your mind over it. You will, even though you might not think you're doing damage to anyone, your actions and what you say could be a small thing that could lead to someone being actually hurt. All I'm going to say is learn from our mistakes, learn from BLM, learn from Antifa, learn from all our mistakes and try to be better at it. That's all I'm going to say. You just have to look at them and say, it's kind of like learning history in school. It's like, why do we need to study this? And one of the teachers always said, so we don't make the same mistakes again. That's why we learn history. It's the same thing. You should look at Gamergate, BLM, all those groups and say, we should, this is what they did right, and this is the huge list of things they did wrong. That's how I would say look at it. Look at it like you would look at a history book and say, oh, these people are doing the same thing over and over again. Let's not do that. That's how I would say it. Just look at all our groups and say, okay, they might have had their minds or their hearts in the right place, but their brains are not. That's how I think of it.
What have you personally learned from Gamergate?
Personally learned from Gamergate,
Yeah,
like I
personally.
said before, I learned that some people are incredibly despicable. There's some really despicable people in it, pro and anti, and that the media is a hive mind, and that people, when they take extreme sides, they just when people want to post a side, they will take it too far and they'll be the complete opposite of the side. That's what I learned. I learned about the pendulum effect personally, and I learned about just about the hive mind theory I've had recently that was proven during the Gamergate days. It's a hive mind. Each side has it. They'll all jump, unless it's some independent group that's talking about it themselves. They're just going to all jump at it and say, I don't know.
Was Gamergate
Or
successful in
talking?
your eyes?
No. Yes and no. It, I can't describe it.
Okay. What do you think of this interview project?
Uh, it's it's okay. It's a pretty good idea of you learning from people from Gamergate and stuff and anti. It's always a good thing to learn from the people around and stuff. So I'm fine with that. Poor Tachyon, I can't write this ship. I know I can. What? Okay.
What was that in response to? Was that the chat?
Yeah, Miss Sonita. I can't. Poor
Oh,
Tachyon. Like I can write the ship. I know I can.
oh, I think she's. I don't know if she's referring to. What is she referring to? During
It's
Gamergate, maybe because like I don't know. I mean, like I don't know. I don't know if she's talking about Gamergate or the interview or something else. I have no idea.
uh, I don't know either. I'm not the best at being interviewed. I could explain that one right now. I am terrible at it.
Oh,
But
it's
I'll admit though that I am not perfect. I'll admit that right now. I am not, because in my mind, that's a sociopathic mindset to think, oh, you're better than you think.
all right. We got
200
two
crypto.
questions left, and one of them is sort of an open-ended one, but you can do whatever you want with it. You can throw it away.
Okay.
Um, some people reading this might hold a negative view of Gamergate. Do you have anything you want to say to these people?
Uh, just look at all sides of the argument here. There were a lot of bad people that were pro, but there were a lot more good people that were pro as well. And look at your own side as well that were opposing it. There were some very despicable people that were in that, just like there was very despicable people on the pro side, as we talked about earlier. It just depends on how you look at it. It's You just have to look at all sides of the argument. You can't just look at one.
Lord Nurgle says, I think it's a good way for everyone to finally put their final word out on Gamergate.
Same. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this. I'm finished with Gamergate. I've been finished with Gamergate for what years of 2023. I stopped at 2015. I barely went into 2016 doing anything with Gamergate. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 8 years I've been done with Gamergate. That's why I'm doing this interview. I've just been done with Gamergate for 8 years now.
It sounds like you're happy that you are and you're in a better place.
Oh yeah, I'm very better.
I swear, I'm going to be very upset if we never find out what Miss Sonata meant.
It
Because it's
doesn't
going to be
matter
in
to
the
me.
book. Because you brought it up on air, and then I responded to it on air. So it's going to be in the book since it's mostly like a rough transcript.
Hmm.
Do you want me to? Oh, by the way, on a personal note, off topic. This part's not going to be included, but in the book. But um, do you want me to edit out the parts where you're like, hey, look, let me think about this?
Yeah, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I wasn't sure because like,
And just, I want to talk about, I don't really want to be remembered for the past of how crazy I was. That's the one thing I don't like to be talked about. I said I used to have those issues, yes, but it's just like something I want to forget. So if you do a book, just, yeah, it's something I want to forget.
yeah,
Just
no,
that past.
I can't, I, you knew this was going to be for a book coming in, right? I think I said
Yeah,
that.
I did.
Okay, okay.
You said Gamergate, you said was still it up until 2018.
I mean, some
Okay.
people, dude, there's some people on, there's some people who I think might still think it's going on, bro, who are still chugging away. Like there's on V, on the
Hmm.
on 8chan V, there's still a
Hmm.
Gamergate topic that's still active.
I thought HM went off. I
They
didn't.
moved to a different website. It's a different 8chan now.
Oh, okay, because I remember HN getting shut down.
Yeah, this is it's a new 8chan now, but they're over there.
Oh,
And
good.
there's also Kotaku in Action is still around. Kotaku in Action 2 is still around. There's still some activity on the GG discussion debate subreddit. Gamer Ghazi is still going. Actually, I think Gamer Ghazi
Oh
might have
man,
shuttered because I think they
Gamer
closed it to new
Gossi.
posts.
Gamer Gossi, you got to be kidding me. I remember that one. I remember because we laughed at like when we found out who the meetup was, when we saw their meetup, and we're like, that can't be right. That can't be right. I just remember the meetup.
Are you ready for
That's
the
all I remember. What?
Are you ready for the last question?
Go right ahead.
Anything else you want to talk about regarding Gamergate?
Nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
All right. Well, hey, we did it. Just over 3 hours. Just over 3 hours, but we did it, Leon. Thank you so much for being a part of this project. I
Thank you.
know it was difficult for you, and you were really on the fence for a while there, but I'm
Hmm.
glad you decided to do it, and I hope
Hmm.
that it was a good way for you to put this behind you and move on and focus on the future. Or if you still want to talk about GG2, that's a choice you can make. But
Yeah.
but no, I think this is good for people. I think it's good. I mean, I've had a lot of people say that they're glad that they're able to close this chapter.
Hmm. Same with me. The past is in the past, and I'm done with it personally. That's how I think of it.
Cool. Well, hey, I am interviewing Nurgle in the future,
Okay.
and stick around in the Discord. We got a lot of fun people from the old days. They don't just talk about Gamergate. I'm a political streamer now. Not a big politics fan, I know, but I will be talking about gaming stuff sometimes too, gaming controversies, things like that. Um, so if you want to stick around, have some conversations, maybe even talk to some of the antis. If you want to try and mend the bridge after all these years.
Okay. Yeah. I've been done with Gamergate for a while, and I don't really. Yeah, that's just my thought is it's over and done with. For me, it was over and done with 8 years ago. So, and it's coming on the 10-year anniversary of Gamergate this within the next August. which is going to be funny thinking about, holy shit, 10 years went by. That's how I think of it.
Okay, Miss. Oh, by the way, we finally know what Miss Sonata meant. She says, "Gamergate. You said you were still in it up until 2018. Yeah, early 2018. Poor Tachyon. Like, I can write this ship. I know I can. I mean, look. I mean, I thought it was an important cause that I cared about a lot. There were a lot of people still involved in 2017, but
Oh,
2018, it really. I was looking around. Man, there were only a few of us who even like. I felt like I was really like me and Captain Carbine maybe and Ryan, and a couple other people, but man, there was like nobody left. Even the
yeah.
GG Revolt people, like they all left, like they were all gone, but pretty much too. Like
When
they were long gone.
when those people have had enough, you know it's dead. When they've had enough.
Yeah. Well, those people they got they got like denounced by everybody. Like nobody was willing to talk to them or work with them anymore. So, but dude, actually, there GG Revolt as a community
Mm-hmm.
separate from like anything GG stuff really, but they
Yeah.
kept going for like at least a couple more years. Like they were going probably, but it was like 4 people on their board. Like it was active posters per month. It was like 4 people, but those 4 people were like super active.
Mm-hmm.
But they only had like 60 people to begin with. Anyway, we are going to I'll raid some people. We'll close this bad boy down. Lord Nurgle tomorrow does not work. I'm interviewing Troy Levitt, the game developer for Disney. He worked on Disney Infinity and Hogwarts Legacy developer actually too.
Damn.
So I'm interviewing him
Oh,
tomorrow and his thoughts and his experience as a neutral player in GamerGate. But next week I do have
smart
some openings
person.
probably. So
I.e. the smart person of the whole thing.
all right.
That's how I think of it.
Oh, the neutrals.
Yes, the smart people.
All right. Well, who am I gonna raid? I guess I'll raid Stardust with my 3 viewers, and on Twitch I'll raid this person I met at a convention. But we networked a bit, so cool. All right. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, man.
All right, thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.